Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. It's Thursday. The weekend is almost here. How are you guys? Let me say good morning to you. Hey, chicken lady. Ma, the meatloaf. I love wedding crashers. The meatloaf sounds good. Hey, Tony, good morning. Hey, Rachel, good morning. Good morning. Call me Sadie. Good morning, Tim. It's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Are we ready to get back at it? Well, I hope so because we are. So today we're going to listen to the detective that interviewed Payton. Good morning, Mrs. Troy. Good to see you. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. So that's what we're going to do today is listen to the detective that interviewed Payton. Also, at the very end, there is a psychologist that's going to testify too. So that's what's on the agenda today. Hello, Chicken Shite. Good to see you. Good morning. All right, let me add this to the stream. I like to listen to it at 1.25 only because sometimes there's slow speakers and I start to go someplace else. So I need to be able to focus, and you guys are just along for the ride apparently with my brain. Good morning, True Crime Tea. Good to see you. All right, are we ready to get started? Okay, okay. Oh, hey, before we get started though, really quickly, I just want to hear a word from our sponsor, just real quick.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
And while we're on the subject of Kai, if you want to find out what happened to Kai, I'm doing a documentary only on Patreon, though, just because of the subject matter. So I would love to have you guys join over there. I only have one tier, and I intend to release a documentary each month because they take me a long time to make. And so once a month is all I can do. But 'cause if I try to do more than that, I know I'm not going to be able to fulfill that commitment. I know me. You guys know me. And also, I intend to go live over there as well. And I still am doing the bedtime books with Bendy. Thing is, the book that I'm supposed to read next, for whatever reason, when I moved, instead of keeping that book out, I packed that book. And I happen to know that that book, well, the box that contains the book, which is the book that I'm reading next is And I Don't Want to Live This Life. It's by Deborah Spungen. It is Nancy Spungen's mom, and it talks about, Nancy's life all the way up through her death. So it's actually a really, really good book. I read it the first time I ever read it I was like in 7th grade. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing next. I just need to figure out how I'm going to get to the back of the storage to get that book. But let me drop the link to Patreon for y'all. Oh, it'd help if I would spell the link correctly for the Nightbot. I mean, I can't be blaming the Nightbot. All right. So, we have some new people who have joined. Good morning, Tosh. Good to see you. Good morning, No Madness. Good to see you as well. Okay. What did Rachel say? And in general, I don't see. Hey, Humanimal, good to see you. Well, even though you probably should be asleep, I'm glad that you're not asleep and you came and said good morning to all of us. And good morning to Sissy, who will be watching with Call Me Sadie. All right, so that's the plan, okay, for today and beyond. All right, here we go.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. Good morning to the jury. We're prepared to proceed with the presentation of evidence from Anissa Weier. So, Attorney Smith, do you have further witnesses to call?
Yes, we're going to call Detective Shelley Fisher. And just before I go out to get her, I wanted to confirm something.
I think she's coming in.
Okay. While she's going up to the stand, Judge, I want to make sure that when we're referring to the victim, we use the required manner in which the court wants us to do that. Should we use the initials PL, or are we free to use the first name?
I think the first name is fine.
Okay.
So, chicken shite, yes. This trial is just essentially for that, for insanity, yes. Oh, Tosh, would you please? I feel like yes, chicken shite. It's the same as the Sally Jesse one. I would love it if you would do that, Tosh. Really, I would. I think that I feel for Nancy because I think that she's been cast in a really bad light. I mean, look, Nancy isn't like some you know, shrinking violet. I mean, she had a very, very strong personality. She was very, very brash, but she was also schizophrenic and by and large was unmedicated. And I think that she takes a lot of blame for what ultimately happened with Sid Vicious, but I think there are other circumstances and situations that, it's never just one thing with people, that caused Sid to end up how he did and all of that. And I did do a documentary, and it's on Patreon, to give the backstory to why I wanted to, all to their relationship and, stuff like that. So I would like to see Nancy's grave. I feel awful for her mother. I feel, well, for her whole family, really, because it's like the way that they treated her death was like basically, it's just another junkie and we're not going to look too far into it. We've got a good suspect here. He said some things and we're just going to go with that. And then, of course, when Sid died, that, closed it all up and wrapped it up in a nice, neat package with a bow on it. And I think there is reason to believe that pertaining to Nancy's death, especially, there was more to it. I don't actually think that Sid did it. That's just me, though. Yes, Nancy is a schizophrenic humanimal. It's really sad. Her, just remembering the things that I read in that book. It's just she had her parents. She's their first child. She's their oldest child. She's got a sister and a brother after her. But Nancy, from the very beginning of her life, her birth was was dramatic and traumatic, and just yeah, it's just a lot. So, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Tosh. Really. Oh, Tim. Well, I covered George Washington Wagner the Fourth's trial, and assuming it ever happens, 7 years from now, maybe, Billy Wagner is next, and I absolutely intend to stream that trial every day, every moment, every objection, everything, because that case is crazy and it's very reminiscent to me of another case that is coming up to trial soon, June. Donna Adelson, her trial starts in June, and it's essentially, the premise or the motive for Dan Markel's murder was custody. Same with why the Roden family was massacred, because of custody. So although, they have a lot of similarities, but so anyway, I will be covering that. So just so you guys know, if you're interested in that. All right. Now, for real, we're going to get going. And for those of you guys who might have just joined, the first witness for today is going to be the detective that interviewed Payton, who is the victim, who survived. All right, here we go.
Then, Detective, could you stand and raise your right hand? Clerk will swear you in.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. Then pull up to the microphone and state.
Well, I already have to pause for commentary because I need to say this. I'm going to need the camera operators to swear that they're not going to Blair Witch us. Okay? I think that should be an oath that they take before they even begin to operate the camera during a trial. Okay? It's too much. Slow your rolls. There's a slow zoom.
Full name and spell your last name.
Shelly Fisher. It's Shellyfisher.
All right, thank you. Attorney Smith.
Detective Fisher, can you tell me how you're employed?
I am a detective with City of Waukesha Police Department.
And how long have you been a detective?
About 13 years.
How long have you been employed with the police department?
I'm on my 24th year at City of Waukesha.
Okay, and were you employed and working on May 31st of 2014?
Yes, I was employed there. I don't believe I worked on the 31st.
Okay, were you called into work for some reason on that day?
No.
Okay. Did you become involved in the investigation of that stabbing that took place on May 31st, 2014?
Yes.
When did you become involved?
I was involved a couple days later when I interviewed, I'm sorry, can I say the name?
Oh, the judges allowed us to say the first name.
Okay, I interviewed Payton.
Okay. And before you interviewed her, were you involved in any other way in the investigation?
No.
Okay. You, with this refresh your recollection, did you interview her on June 6, 2014?
Yes.
Okay. And were you assigned to do a forensic interview with her?
Yes.
And are you trained and certified to do interviews of children?
Yes, I am.
Well, and what type of training is involved in that?
It's 2 classes that you go through. I went through the first class in 2006, and I was certified in 2009.
Okay. Let me ask you this. As a part of that training, are you...
Hold the phone. Wait a minute. Back the milk truck up. So they had a detective on the case who was called in, who had experience and training and certification in interviewing children. And they didn't use her in any other capacity other than to interview Payton, which, listen, interviewing Payton because she's a child and a victim, that requires, a delicate touch, right? You need to be able to earn their trust and make them feel comfortable and all of the things, right? But it works the same way with a suspect who's a child as well. So, okay, let's keep going. I didn't realize that. I don't know how I forgot that or whatever, but here we are. All right, let's keep going.
trained to do, I guess, what's called open-ended questions?
Yeah, at that time we were using the stepwise interview system.
Okay. And can you describe what that means a bit?
It's a system used to elicit the story from the child, so you're not using direct questions or leading questions.
Okay, because you want to hear what happened from the point of view of the child that you're talking to, correct?
Yes.
And I think that technique was developed because children are kind of susceptible of being, I guess, influenced by questions that you might ask if they're kind of like leading questions.
Sure.
Okay. You had a chance to review your...
Maybe a hearing problem.
Oh. All right, excuse me. All right, very good. The courts are equipped with fairly modern evidence presentation equipment, and part of it is when we have someone that has any hearing impairment, we can give them wireless headphones to wear. And generally, if they're all working right, it helps the person hearing. So that's true for members of the jury, and it's also true for anyone in the gallery. If anyone has any hearing impairments and you believe you need those headphones, let one of the bailiffs know.
Wow.
Ma'am, how's it working? All right, thank you.
And
Well, that's awesome to know that in Waukesha, if you have trouble hearing, that they can provide it to the jury and the gallery. I appreciate that.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Do you have a good recollection of the interview that you had with Payton on June 6, 2014?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about what she told you happened on May 30th, 2014. Did she tell you about a sleepover at Morgan's house?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Did she tell you about what happened the morning of May 31st, 2014?
Yes.
And did she tell you about going to like a park near her Morgan's home on that day?
Yes.
Did she tell you how she got to the park?
They walked.
Okay. Did she tell you anything about who may have suggested that they go over to the park?
She said it was Morgan's idea.
And did she tell you about going into any type of building while they were in the park?
Yes, a bathroom.
Okay. And did she tell you about going into any like stall in that bathroom?
Yes.
And did she tell you about why she went into the stall?
She was asked to go into the stall by Morgan. Morgan said that she wanted to show her and Anissa some vandalism that was inside a toilet bowl.
And did she tell you what happened while she was in that bathroom stall?
So the three of them went into this stall, and once the three of them entered the stall, Morgan locked the stall and said that she had lied, that there really wasn't any vandalism in the toilet bowl.
Okay. And did she tell you anything about being in like a corner of that bathroom stall?
She told Payton that she needed to sit in the corner of the stall up against the wall.
Okay. And what happened after did she tell you what happened after she moved over to the corner of the stall?
She was told that she needed to go to sleep.
Okay. Did she say anything about someone locking the bathroom stall?
Yes, Morgan did lock the bathroom stall.
Okay. And did she say anything about being grabbed while she was in there?
Yes. Morgan had first grabbed her arms and put them behind her back and just held them there, and then Anissa stood in front of her and kind of just stared at her.
Okay. Did she say anything about what happened after Morgan grabbed her arms?
Morgan said to Anissa, "I thought we agreed that you were going to do this."
And I believe you said that Anissa was standing in front of Payton at the time that Morgan said that?
Yes.
Did she tell you what happened, if Morgan did anything after that?
She said that she needed to talk to Anissa in the next stall over.
Okay. Did she say anything else about what happened after Anissa and Morgan talked in the stall next to her?
They came back in the same stall that Payton was in, and then this time Anissa held Payton's arms behind her back, and then Morgan stood in front of her and stared at her.
While Anissa was sitting next to her, did Anissa do something to her? Did she say that?
Yes.
And what did she say Anissa did?
She said that she hit her to the front of her head very hard, which caused the back of her head to hit against the wall.
Okay. And did they actually stab her in that bathroom stall?
No.
Okay, what happened?
Payton said that she was not going to go to sleep, and Morgan said, "Why don't you just go out and play?" So Payton went out on the playground equipment to play.
Okay. So they eventually left that bathroom and went back outside, correct?
Yes.
And did they, at any point, or did she tell you at any point, what happened after they were all three out of that bathroom building?
After they were all out of the bathroom, they were back on the playground equipment for a short time, and then it was suggested that they go for a walk.
Okay. And did they go to the woods at any point?
Yes, then they took a walk over to a wooded area next to the park.
Okay. And while they were there, did they play any games? Did she say whether or not they played any games?
Hide and seek.
Okay. And did she tell you like who suggested playing hide and seek?
She said Anissa did.
Okay. And did she say to you whether or not something bad happened to her while they were playing hide and seek?
Yes.
And what did she say happened?
She said that Morgan had stabbed her.
Did she say whether or not Morgan said anything to her before doing it?
Yes.
And what did Payton say Morgan said before doing it?
Morgan had approached her. Payton was lying on her back, so Morgan sat on her legs, and then she got real close to her, and she said, "I'm sorry," and then she started stabbing her.
Okay, so before she started stabbing her, she said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe she said, "I'm so sorry."
Did she say whether Morgan said anything to her after doing it?
Yes.
And what did she say that Morgan said?
Morgan said that she had to do this in order to save her life.
Okay. And did Morgan eventually start talking to you about the creepypastas?
Payton?
Excuse me, yes, Payton, I'm sorry.
Yes, she did.
And what did she say about Morgan's involvement in the creepypasta website?
She said that Morgan was extremely obsessed with creepypasta.
And did she say about when she thought Morgan became obsessed with the creepypasta?
She estimated in January or February of 2014.
And is this her exact word? She said that Morgan began getting obsessed with creepypasta. Is that exactly what she said?
Yes.
Okay. Did she say anything about how if Morgan changed in any way after she became obsessed with creepypasta?
Yes, she said she became scarier and scarier and weirder.
Did she say anything about whether or not Morgan ever shared any of the things that she discovered in terms of creepypasta pictures or links with her?
Yes.
And what did she say was shared with her?
She said that Morgan would repeatedly email her pictures of creepypasta characters. There was one in particular that she said Morgan knew that Payton didn't like this character, and so she was purposely emailing this photo of this character to her in order to scare her.
Okay. So Payton didn't like the creepypasta pictures?
No.
Did she make any additional comments about the extent of Morgan's interest in creepypasta?
That she was doing a lot of research on it, that Morgan wanted to prove that it was real.
And did she say that Morgan was obsessed with everything to do with creepypasta?
Yes.
Did she say that Morgan discussed it at lunch?
Yes.
Did there come a point where Morgan shared with Payton proof that creepypasta was real?
I don't know that there was actual proof that she showed her, but she was trying to prove to her that it was real.
Okay. Did Payton say that Morgan tried to prove to her that it was real by printing out newspaper articles and pictures to prove that the creepypasta characters were real?
Yes.
How did Payton react to the proof that Morgan was sending her?
She was very scared by it. She was told by Morgan that this character would come into her room at night and kill her, so she locked her windows. She had the curtain down. She would face away from the window when she was sleeping. She would have her door locked. She also went to her mom and told her mom what was happening, and she was wondering if her mom knew if this was real or not.
Did she and her mother eventually do their own research to see if any of the characters were real?
Yes.
And is that what Payton told you?
Yes.
And after they did their research, did Payton indicate whether or not she was still convinced that the characters were not real?
She said her mom said she could not find any evidence that this was real, but she still felt that she wondered why Morgan would say this, that she kind of wanted to believe what Morgan was saying.
Okay, so call me Sadie. The reason the website was called Creepypasta is it is a sort of spin on that old phrase copy pasta, which is copy paste. So that's why, because it's stories that are written, but then they're also copy and pasted and added to. So that's why they call it that. All right, here we go. And also, this is a good question. So Chicken Shite says, weird to me, Bella didn't get the F away from them after the bathroom stuff. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that I don't think that there was any point in time up until Morgan sat on her and pulled out that knife that Payton ever thought that she was in danger with these girls, ever. Um, I feel awful for her. I can't imagine, um, and I'm sure that that's probably one of the things that went through her mind, the shoulda, woulda, couldas, because, even though on a rational level, the victims of crime can say that there's part of them that knows that this is not their fault. They didn't ask for this. Nothing that they did brought this on. That they had nothing to do with this. Like, it's not their fault. They're not to blame, right? But on another level, I th victims do sometimes, frequently, I shouldn't even say sometimes, more frequently than not, they do blame themselves on some level. What if I would have, gone home after the bathroom? What if all the, what ifs, and I it's awful to know that that's what happens, but I hope that Peyton is in a place now mentally where she understands and really believes that this was not her fault, that she didn't do anything. She didn't do anything to Anissa at all to make her do this. That these girls, something about these girls under these specific circumstances, because they found each other, they committed this crime. It has Peyton, poor thing, was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know what I mean? If there was a fourth girl in this mix, and I would suspect that there would be two victims, not just one.
So Payton herself was still not convinced that it was not real.
Yes.
Did Payton talk about Anissa?
Yes.
Did she say whether or not Anissa was into the creepypastas?
She said she was.
And did she say anything about how Anissa behaved when she was around Morgan?
She said that Anissa was different when she was around Morgan.
So how did she describe what Anissa's like when she's around Morgan?
She said that Anissa was rude, that she would say bad words, and that she would hit people.
But how did she describe Anissa when Anissa was not around Morgan?
Said Anissa was much nicer, a lot easier to be around. She had started to apologize for hitting Payton and saying mean things to her.
You, in addition to interviewing Payton, I believe you were given some other assignments as a part of the investigation, correct?
Yes.
Did you at any point have contact with the school that Anissa and Morgan attended?
Yes.
And how did you make arrangements to go to the school?
Actually, the administration from the school contacted me to come over to the school.
Okay, and they wanted you to come over to the school because they were preparing to do what?
They were going to go through the lockers of the 3 students.
Okay, and were you able to actually go there and be there while they were going through the lockers?
Yes.
And when you went there to go through the lockers with them, what was your plan? What was your purpose in doing that?
Just to see if there was anything in the lockers that would be related to the stabbing incident.
Okay, so when you went to the locker and you looked through Anissa's locker and you then looked through Morgan's locker, your purpose was not to grab everything in that locker, right?
Correct.
Your purpose was to grab only those items that you thought had some significance to the stabbing and the creepypasta characters, correct?
Yes.
I'll object that it's leading, Judge.
Okay. So,
Wait just a minute.
This is where I find interesting. I know what what Anissa's lawyers are attempting to do by eliciting the previous testimony respective to Anissa's behavior when she was around Morgan versus when she was not around Morgan, and that, she was meaner when she was around Morgan. But the thing is, Payton was friends with Morgan, right? Which, if those were behaviors that Payton didn't like, and it's Morgan who influenced Anissa to be that way, then why would Payton still be hanging around with Morgan? Does that make sense? To me, it seems as if Payton or Anissa acted the way she acted in front of Morgan because she didn't. Three's a crowd. That's what I think it boils down to. And I think that she was nice to Payton behind when she was out away from Morgan, not because Morgan was influencing her behavior, but more, I think, because I think she wanted to come in between them. I think she wanted Payton on some level to sort of trust her. And I would not be surprised if we were to find out that sometimes Anissa would talk badly about Morgan to Payton. And more to the point, I would not be surprised if we heard that Anissa would tell Payton if Morgan ever talked badly about Payton, I believe that Anissa would have repeated that to Payton. I would not be surprised if we heard evidence of that or learned about that somehow.
Well, it is leading, but based upon the nature of this testimony and the question and answering, I'll overrule the objection, but I'll just caution counsel on leading.
Okay. So were you able to do an inventory of items found in the locker that you thought were relevant to the investigation?
Yes.
And did you do, like, I guess what's called property inventories of the things that you thought were relevant?
Yes.
Was that previously marked?
It is. I'm grabbing Exhibit G.
All right.
Also, something occurred to me that I didn't bring up when Morgan was in the interrogation room. People who don't feel anything don't have to work at making themselves not feel anything, right? You either have feelings or you don't have feelings. So I think that some of that interrogation by the detective, I think some of the information he got about that was misconstrued by him. When Morgan said something to the effect of, I can do my Vulcan mind trick and not feel anything, because isn't it easier to go through life not feeling anything? If she was this sociopath or psychopath that she's been painted out to be, and I'm not saying that she doesn't have issues, clearly she does. My point is that people who don't have any feelings, don't feel empathy, don't feel sympathy, don't feel regret, don't feel badly about things that they've guilt, they don't feel any of those things, they don't typically have to wall themselves and make themselves not feel anything, use some type of technique, which for Morgan, it was, the Vulcan, no emotions, right? Only, feelings are ridiculous and stuff. So I thought about that just now when they were talking about things. I don't know why it popped in my head now. It just did. But I thought I'd share it with you. Let's keep going.
Judge, can I approach the witness?
You may.
Detective Fisher, I'm going to show you an exhibit that's marked Exhibit G. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
It also has on the front property inventory, I believe it's 56.
Yes.
And are you the person that put that property inventory sticker and number on there?
I would have created this sticker, yes.
Okay. And I want you to look through what's been marked as Exhibit G really quickly. Look through all of the pages that are there. Okay. And I want to start off by asking you if you recognize the pages that are Exhibit G.
Yes.
Okay. And are those items that you recovered during a part of the locker searches that you did at the school?
Yes.
Okay. The pages that you see there, do you know where they came from?
This was a notebook that says notebook containing drawing located in Anissa Weier's school locker.
Okay. And what you have there, does that represent all of the pages that were in that notebook?
I believe so.
Let me ask you this, were there some pages in that notebook that were blank?
Yes.
Okay. So this is not everything that was included in that notebook, right?
I don't know because there's a blank page that's included in here.
But you do know that this is a notebook that you recovered out of Anissa's locker?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went to the school, were you provided information about the circumstances of the stabbing on May 31st?
Yes.
And were you aware that there was information about either Slender Man or creepypasta having some significance?
Yes.
Okay, so when you look through Anissa's locker, were you looking for items that may have some sort of reference to sleepy pasta?
Creepypasta, yes.
Creepypasta, excuse me. Were you?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to.
Also, I think that this bears speaking about, right? There's a difference in the dynamics and the parenting styles between the Weier home and the Geyser home. Okay. And I suspect part of the reason that there is less drawings, physical evidence like that with Anissa is because I don't think her dad would have allowed it. And so I think that she had to keep it on the low. Whereas in the Geyser household, um, you know, they allowed Morgan to view this stuff. I mean, she talks about it. And I'm not judging the parents either way because I don't know these girls. They're not my children. So I'm not going to judge their parenting styles. I think parents do what's the best job they can with their children, and each child is an individual. I mean, obviously, if you have more than one child, you have to have some fundamental rules that apply to everybody, but your parenting technique has to change based on the child because different children require different things. You have, like my youngest son, you could tell that child, don't touch it because it's hot. And he would look at you and touch it anyway, just to make sure that you were telling the truth, that it was indeed hot. He had to figure out things on his own. When he was little, he used to take apart the remote control cars to see how they worked. Every single one of them. No matter how many times I told him or how many times he opened them up and saw that really only the cover, the car shell itself is what changes, not the parts inside. It did not matter, So and my daughter, my oldest daughter, I could tell her, don't touch it, it's hot. And she would be like, okay, I'm not going to touch it, it's hot. Right. Same with Mini Bindi. I didn't have to, she was not a tester. She didn't have to test things like that. So you have to just, yes, call me Sadie. So you have to adjust so I'm not judging them, but I do think that there's a reason why, and it has nothing to do with who was running the show or not. I think that Anissa had to, I don't know another way to say it. She had to be slicker. She had to keep this kind of stuff hidden. I don't think her parents would have allowed her to be viewing this stuff.
If you don't mind, I want to grab Exhibit G back from you. I'm going to put a few pages up on the document scanner or document viewer. First page I want you to look at is a page that has the words "always watches" on it. You included that as a part of your property inventory. In your mind, when you did that phrase have some significance to you?
I felt that it did.
And did it have some significance because of its relationship to Slender Man?
Yes.
And What is about this phrase that made you think it has some reference to the Slender Man character?
I saw it repeatedly in other areas, so I thought it was related. I'm aware that Slender Man is supposed to not have any eyes.
But is it also a part of that Slender Man idea that he sees everyone, sees everything?
Yes.
Slender Man is omnipotent. Is that what you mean?
I'll show you also what appears to be a drawing of a...
All right, clearly we're going to go through these 11 billion drawings again, but I need to take a pause to say a very special good morning to Neat Noodle. It's good to see you, babe. Thanks for being here. Here we go.
person with no face. Is this something that you also thought has some significance to the Slender Man character?
Yes, I did.
And why is that?
Because it looks to be like a figure without a face.
And that's what Slender Man is described as?
Yes.
Objection leading.
Okay. So let me ask this. Is that what Slender Man is described as?
Yes.
I'll also show you this. You also copied an inventory, should say inventory this. Why did you inventory this?
To me, it looks like a person that has blood on their torso.
In the items that you just went over, these are things that were found in Anissa's locker in her Spanish notebook.
Yes.
Detective, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit H. Have you had a chance to look at it all?
Yes.
Okay. And you were there when these documents were recovered from one of the lockers at the school?
Yes.
And whose locker were these items recovered from?
Morgan's.
Okay. And this is items that were found in what?
In a notebook.
Okay. And after you found these in her locker, did you property inventory this notebook as well?
Yes.
Okay, and it looks like, again, this is a science notebook?
Yes.
And you property inventory...
You know, it would be a lie if I said I wasn't disappointed in the way that this trial is going so far. You know, this is the detective that interviewed Payton, and yet the defense spent 2 minutes asking her about what Payton said. And I would imagine Payton said a great deal more than the testimony that was elicited from the defense attorney, Mr. Smith. What I'm annoyed about is I do not understand the need to go through all of these exhibits again with this witness. I don't understand what it proves. It's not in dispute that the girls were obsessed with Slender Man. Like that's not. It just seems like such a waste of time. But we're going to sit here and listen. Maybe there will be a point to all of this, and I just need to be patient. Let's keep going.
This item, is it because you thought that there were items in here that were references to Slender Man?
Yes.
I'm going to go through a few of the pages in that exhibit with you.
I guess the only thing that I can come up with, I just thought of this and I had to stop because I'll forget. I suppose the only thing that I can come up with is the reason that they're putting on so much evidence of this about Slender Man and how they were, how Anissa was, I don't see how Morgan being obsessed with Slender Man helps Anissa anyway, one way or the other, but regardless, I guess it's to prove that the things about Slender Man are so fantastic and so him being omnipotent and can, do all these things that it's so outlandish that how could these girls believe that this is real? And therefore, by default, they must have some type of mental illness. Why are, the fact that they believed so fervently in this. Whereas for me, like with Bloody Mary, okay, before my mom took us in the bathroom and did it, I was pretty much convinced that this was a real person, that this is somebody that could really come out of that mirror and just snatch you up. After my mom did it and nothing happened, then I became, I would say, 85-15. I was 85% sure that it probably was that Bloody Mary probably wasn't real, but there was 15% of me that was not going to take any chances. So I guess that's what they're going for. I don't know, because it's kind of tedious.
Well, this first page I'm going to show you, it said,
Good morning, Patricia. Good to see you, babe.
at the top it says defenses slender. And did you believe that was relevant, of course, because it has the name Slender at the top?
Yes.
And what did you think when you saw this that the writings meant?
Obviously something about Slender Man. It talks about Slender Man in the next sentence, and some of the characters involved with Slender Man and creepypasta.
Okay. And did the phrase defenses take on any meaning to you when you were considering its reference to relationship to Slender Man characters?
I understand it's from defenses for Slender Man.
So where it says masky and hoodie offer cheesecake, what did you think that meant in relationship to defenses for Slenders?
That you're supposed to give that to the character Masky and Hoodie.
And for Slender Man up at the top, it says run like hell. What do you think that meant the relationship to defenses against Slender Man?
I'm guessing that if you see him, you should run away.
Okay. So this appears to be a list of things to do to protect yourself if you come into contact with these creepypasta characters.
Yes.
Again, I suppose that the point here is if Slender Man is omnipotent and he knows all, sees all, and is everywhere, what good would running like hell do? So by default, them believing this is not rational. I guess. I don't know.
Next page at the top, it says supplies necessary.
Yes.
And did that take on any type of significance in terms of your investigation into this case?
Yes, I was aware that Morgan and Anissa were planning to go to a forest, and because it says map of forest and supplies necessary, I believe that this was related to their intent of going to this forest.
No.
And I think one of
Tosh,
the
hold on.
notations on here.
No, Tosh. Tosh asks if anyone knows if the Slender Man creator had to take the stand. No, because quite honestly, I don't think it. The point. This is only evidence that Morgan or that Anissa A was in fear for her life and B is mentally ill, and so that's really all that the jury is to decide. So it's not. It wouldn't be required for this person to whoever created him to take the stand.
Here relates back to the exhibit that we just looked at earlier. It says cheesecake masky hoodie.
Yes.
Right? So that's in reference to the defense against those two creepypasta characters.
Yes.
Show you this document. It says he still, and at the bottom, sees you with a circle and two X's. Why was that significant in terms of your belief that it had a connection to Slender Man?
I believe that it may be related to Slender Man, as it appears to be a face with the X's as being eyes, and the character does not supposed to have eyes.
Okay. And it also says that he, still is able to see even though he doesn't have eyes, correct?
Correct.
And that's something that Slender Man's able to do even though he doesn't have eyes, correct?
That would be my understanding.
And this one says, never at the top, alone. And then in the middle, there's a circle with an X. Does that circle with an X have any reference to Slender Man?
I'm not sure if it does or not. Again, it has that same X, so I don't know if that represents an eye or...
So Tosh says, Eric Knudsen is the creator of Slender Man. I just didn't know if they had him take the stand to prove Slender isn't real. Ida K, just overthinking. I don't think that it was like, whether he's real or not actually isn't the point to this trial, right? It's what Morgan and, well, not even Morgan, what Anissa believed. Whether he was real, what Anissa believed that he was real. So I think that's the point. Is I don't know what the point of all of going over these exhibits again that we just saw yesterday, but here we are.
something of that nature with Slender Man.
In your research into the Slender Man, is this a symbol that you see a lot in relationship to the Slender Man character?
Yes.
Okay. This document here, it says he cannot be harmed, and at the bottom, again, there's those circles with the X, correct?
Correct.
And again, you found through your research into Slender Man that the circle and the X, it has some significance to the Slender Man character?
Yes.
Yeah, Tosh says, I think that's why I'm confused. I just wouldn't have gone about this trial this way. I wouldn't have either. To me, it seems like I would have spent my time eliciting testimony from psychologists, people who worked with Anissa at the school, like the school counselor. I would have asked, about, I would have spent my time trying to find evidence of Anissa being a follower of Morgan's. I would have spent my time putting on evidence of her mental illness. I would not have spent my time going over these pictures twice. It's ridiculous. Their obsession with Slender Man and whether or not he's real is not in question. I don't understand the point.
This document here says no more secrets, and then at the bottom, there's this, for better words, kind of like stick figure with lines going, 3 lines going, extending from the body out to the sides.
Yes.
And that stick figure, did that have any sort of significance to you?
To me, I thought it represented Slender Man because, again, you have the outline of a body, there's no face, and then apparently Slender Man sometimes may have like tentacles that come out from his back, and that could be interpreted from the drawing.
So hold on, I want to highlight this one first. So Call Me Sadie says, with all the testimony so far about Morgan, if I was just coming into this blind, I would never guess that this is about Anissa. Me either. Margie's phone still says 54 minutes until I start. Margie, I would suggest, babe, that perhaps your YouTube app needs updating. And also, I would clear all of your apps that are running in the background, including YouTube. Sometimes that can be the problem. And then Patricia asks, what is Payton's view of what happened here? Well, I don't really know that. And here's why. Because this witness actually interviewed Payton, but we only got to hear about 2 or 3 minutes of testimony respective to that. And essentially, it was going over what happened again, that, they were in the bathroom, that there was some, like, hold on. They were all 3 in the bathroom, but they were actually All three of them at one point were in one of the stalls. And there was some type of moment where I don't want to frame it as an altercation because it wasn't even quite that. But at some point, Morgan kind of had Payton's arms behind her back. There was an exchange where Morgan turns to Anissa and says, "I thought you were going to do this," and then Anissa ends up sending Payton out to play on the playground equipment, and then they decide to play hide and seek. She says that Morgan is the one who stabbed her, that before she stabbed her, Morgan said to Payton, "I'm so sorry." And that's it. And that Payton was aware of Morgan's obsession with creepypasta and specifically Slender Man, and that Payton told her mom about it, and Payton's mom, went online and they tried to prove or disprove the existence of Slender Man. That's it. That's all. Oh. And apparently, Anissa, when she was with Morgan, was mean. She hit people, she cussed. But when she was not with Morgan, she was much nicer. That's all we got. And now we're spending another 11 billion minutes on pictures that the jury has already seen.
This document here said he never comes, and it has that circle and the X.
Yes.
And that, again, has some significance in relationship to the Slender Man character.
Yes.
Well,
This document here,
hang on a minute. Actually, I'm just going to keep playing, and I'm just
That's
going
the
to
word.
it down because it's still, Chicken Shite said, "Made a huge pot of chicken noodle soup for this cold, rainy day. Just realized I have no crackers." You have two options: throw the whole pot away, or go to the store and get crackers. Or, I suppose no, that's the only two choices you have. You cannot eat chicken noodle soup without crackers. No.
Were they expected to find a tower?
okay, and the tower, did it have any sort of significance as a place to go if you encounter Slender Man?
Yes,
And was it considered something of a safe place?
I believe so.
And then that's why the word safe is written probably right above this tower.
Objection. It calls for speculation, Judge. Sustained.
Detective Fisher, I want to show you what's
There
in
you
Mark's
go.
exhibit.
Tony is
Okay.
much more helpful than I am. DoorDash crackers.
Give me a second to take a look at Exhibit K. So, Detective, is Exhibit K something that you found in one of the lockers at the school?
Yes, in Morgan's locker.
Okay, and Exhibit K is an item that you property inventoried as what number again?
66.
Okay,
For
and
Pete's sake, who cares?
again, your reason for collecting those documents is it because you thought that they had some reference to the Slender Man character?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to show you a few other documents that included in that exhibit.
The only soup I don't like crackers with is tomato
So this
soup.
first picture is a
Excuse me,
picture of a
Mr.
person.
Smith. The only soup I don't like crackers with is tomato soup. I like grilled cheese with my tomato soup. That's all.
with face, no eyes. And why did you
Just FYI, that commentary was as unnecessary as showing the jury these pictures again.
think that has some significance to the creepypasta website?
Again, just with the character of Slender Man not having a face or eyes.
Next thing I want to show you is looks like a writing of some sort, and at the top there's a reference to Jeffrey Woods.
Yes.
And why did you think that has some significance to the creepypasta website?
I'm not sure with this. It looks like a story.
Is there a character in the creepypasta website named Jeff the Killer?
Yes.
Okay, and is that name in any way connected to Jeff the Killer?
You know, I can't really read a lot of the writing in here, but on the top of this page, it says Jeffrey Woods.
I've done very little research, and even I know
This doc-
that Jeff the Killer. It's it's been suggested that it's based on this other person, Jeffrey Woods. Their Sonat. Yeah, I mean, come on, what are you doing, counselor? I need to stop. I need to stop. I can feel myself becoming out of control. Let's keep going.
document here, it has some writing in the, like near the center that says, you are a strange child. It will be of my use.
Let me just also welcome in Lil Red. I'm sorry that you have to spring clean, but I'm glad that you're choosing to spend your spring cleaning listening with me at the ward. Appreciate you. Let's keep going.
And then there's this figure in the bottom corner. Did this have some significance to Slender Man for you?
I think that could be interpreted as a character related to Slender Man, again, with the tentacles that appear to be coming out from the back.
Okay. And it looks like just to the left of that is a circle with an X as well.
Yes,
And that's also commonly found in relationship to the Slender Man character?
yes.
And this says Slender Parodies. So it's, in your view, since it's titled Slender Parodies, did you think it has some relationship to the Slender Man character?
Yes.
This document here, it looks to be a drawing of a person, a face, no eyes, no nose, no mouth, and then some tendrils or tentacles coming out from the body. Did that drawing have some significance in relationship to the Slender Man character for you?
Yes, again, just because of the tentacles coming out of the back.
This document here, again, it has the word safe on it, and there's a drawing that looks like a tower. Did that have some significance for you in terms of its relationship to the Slender Man character?
I'll object, Joe, because we've asked these questions about a picture that's almost identical to that. I'll overrule it's a different picture, even though I agree with your analysis of it. I'll overrule the objection.
Yes, it looks like the previous pictures that it could be interpreted as a tower and the word safe on there.
And this picture here has that circle, X, can't run. That's seen a lot in reference to the Slender Man character.
Yes.
And this picture here has always watches, no eyes, face, 2 X's for eyes. That's something that you believe has a reference to the Slender Man character?
Yes.
This picture here, it has can at the top, run at the bottom, has a circle in the center with an X in that circle, and then it has what looks like a figure that appears to be Slender Man, has a tower in the right corner with safe, and then it has what looks like to be trees. And that drawing, did it, in your opinion, have a reference to the Slender Man character?
Yes.
Because all of those things are what we've gone over in previous documents, all together on one document, right?
Yes.
Okay. Detective, I'm going to show you what's marked as Exhibit I. Let's give you a chance to review that. And is that items that you recovered from one of the lockers at the school?
Yes, from Morgan's.
Okay. I want to show you some of the pages quickly that are in Exhibit I. First one I'm going to show you, at the top of it, it says IR 14-27629, IR 14-27669, PI number 62. And that appears to be another drawing of a tower.
Yes.
this item here at the top left, there's a circle and an X. Does that appear to be another one of the Slender Man symbols?
Yes.
When you were reviewing the documents that you found in those lockers, did you find in any of the items that you recovered reference to hide and seek?
Yes, I believe there was some writing in that notebook there,
And that
possibly.
was a phrase that you saw and found in some of the creepypasta related items that you found?
I don't know what you mean by the creepypasta. I just saw it written in there.
Okay, and it was written in there with some of the other drawings that you found with the Slender Man symbol and the Slender Man figures that you found?
Yes.
During a part of your investigation into this case, did you at any point go online to check the Creepypasta Wiki website yourself?
No.
Detective, as a part of your investigation into this case, did you have an occasion to talk to Payton's mom?
Yes.
And did you ever talk to Payton's mom about anything that Morgan may have done in the house when she was there for a visit?
I don't recall that.
Okay, do you recall any sleepover where something unusual happened with Morgan inside the home?
Inside Payton's home?
Or inside Morgan's home? Either one of the homes.
From Payton's mother? Is that what you're asking?
Yep, that's correct.
I don't recall.
Okay. Is there any reference to anything that happened in a basement while Payton and Morgan were together?
The night of the sleepover for the birthday party, they were playing video games.
Did anyone bring to your attention anything related to any fire at any point?
I'm going to check this leading.
I will, it is leading, but I'm recognizing the context of the examination and that question, so I'll overrule the objection. But I will caution all attorneys to, on direct exam, to follow the proper procedure.
As a part of your investigation, did you become aware of anything related to maybe a fire that occurred in the basement?
Not an actual fire. Payton had said that Morgan was playing a video game that it's a Sims video game, and so Sims are characters that you can control and you build like an environment for them. And Payton had commented that Morgan was playing this game with her Sims characters and said that she was going to starve the Sims characters and then set their house on fire.
I don't have any further questions, Judge.
All right, thank you. A cross-examination.
Good morning, Detective Fisher.
Good morning.
Where did you interview Payton?
At Waukesha Memorial Hospital.
What day was that? Do you remember?
I believe it was the 6th. I believe it was the 6th of June.
6th of June, 2014?
I believe so.
So roughly 6 or 7 days after the stabbing occurred? Is that
Yes.
right? Payton was still in the hospital?
Yes.
She had some pretty significant injuries.
Yes.
Where in the hospital did you interview her?
In her hospital room.
Okay. Where was she when you interviewed her?
She was sitting in a wheelchair.
Did you observe any injuries on her when you interviewed her?
Yes, she had some, she was wearing a t-shirt and some leggings, and so her arms were exposed, so she did have some heel wounds on her arms.
Why did you go to the hospital and interview her there rather than waiting until she would be discharged to interview her somewhere else?
Well, we didn't know exactly when she was going to be released due to her injuries, and we were aware that there was a lot of media attention regarding the case, and the family was fearful about going out in public and people seeing her, and she was anxious about what happened, that we kind of wanted to limit it, that media and other people weren't trying to find her, and just kind of give her a little extra protection.
Okay, So I I remember the whole Sims situation with my kiddos. Okay. And I cannot remember which one it was. One of the boys, I don't remember which one it was. This is a long time ago, who had heard or read online that you can actually starve your Sims. Okay. And I don't remember which one said, hey, let's do it. And I didn't think anything of it. It's no different. I think it's one of those things, right? You hear there's some game that's popular and you hear you can do something extra in the game or something in the game that you didn't know about, and so you try to do it. It's no different than when I used to play Super Mario Brothers back on the original NES, right? And the rumor was that you could actually jump over the flagpole. Do you know how many times I tried to do that? I never could do it. So if it's real, I've never seen it. But that's neither here nor there. It's no different than knowing that you can get unlimited lives in one of the worlds by stomping on the turtle. Not to you could do it to a turtle, but it's easier to do it to the beetle on the stairs at the end of the level. I mean, that's, no different than that. You know, trying to see if you can do it. I just don't get the big deal about that. I don't think it means anything. I don't understand why I don't understand why they spent the time with this witness on the things that they did for the defense. Hey, Wolfie, you heard me. I said what I said.
And
Hold
you
on a
recorded the
minute.
interview with her, right?
Yes.
Hold the phone. How is trying to jump over the flag trying to cheat? That's not cheating. Also, just so you know, getting unlimited lives on the NES is much more difficult. You're younger, so you probably don't know this, than it would be on any of the other game systems that Nintendo came out with subsequently. Okay? It glitched a lot. You have no idea. Some of you kids nowadays. You have no idea the struggle it was after you played those games endlessly on the even the Super Nintendo was like this, where you had to blow blow on the cartridge to get it to work. You guys don't know about that. You kids. Y'all don't know that struggle.
She told you all about what led up to that stabbing, right?
Yes.
She told you how it was Anissa that suggested they play hide and seek.
Yes.
Morgan was the counter.
Yes.
Anissa took her deeper into the woods to hide.
Yes.
When Morgan came to where they were located, Morgan sat on Payton's legs, right?
Yes.
And you told us that Payton told you, Morgan leaned forward and whispered to her, "I'm so sorry."
Yes.
Payton told you that Anissa just stood there watching.
Yes.
Payton told you that Morgan said she had to do it.
Yes.
Morgan told Payton it was the only way to save Payton's life.
Yes.
Payton told you at that point that Payton, could have died.
Yes.
Payton recognized that.
Yes.
Morgan never told Payton that I have to stab you 19 times so Slender Man doesn't kill me or my family, did she?
Correct.
In fact, what Morgan told Payton was that one of the creepypasta characters was stalking Payton.
Yes.
And Morgan even said, "We're not joking," to Payton, right?
Yes.
Morgan had been scaring Payton before this, right?
Yes.
With these creepypasta characters.
Yes.
Telling Payton that one of them was going to come through her bedroom window while she slept and kill her.
Yes.
This scared Payton, right?
Yes.
And because she was so scared by this, she went to her mom, right?
Yes. Correct.
And her mom helped her out, checked out this whole thing, and went back to Payton and said, "Look, I can't find any evidence of any truth to any of this? I think you're okay. I think you can ignore it. Something along those lines?
Yes,
Payton still wasn't sure, though, right?
right.
Because of the way Morgan had been scaring her, right?
Yes,
This is a fantastic point. Chicken Shite says, I think he should have focused on the standing there watching. Bella said it twice now. Seems way more crazy to me than Doodles of a Man. I have to agree. I do. Because I think that I don't think she was standing there watching as if she was in shock and horror. I think she was standing there watching, and I think she was counting the stabs. That's what I think. And I think the reason that she said there are 17 rather than the total, which is 19, is because I think she's omitting the 2 times that she stabbed Payton. I just think that Payton, in all likelihood, may have blocked that out. And, I can understand that. But also, yes, where is that comment? Violet said, that's why everyone over 40 has back issues. We had to sit on the floor because our controllers were tied to the console. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. All right, let's keep going.
Payton told you after she had been stabbed, I'm pretty sure they wanted me to stop moving around and talking so people wouldn't find me.
yes,
Payton was able to recognize the fact that Morgan and Anissa were taking off, leaving her there to die, right?
yes,
Payton told you she couldn't see, right?
yes,
She couldn't breathe.
yes,
She was able to walk out of the woods, but then collapsed on the grass, right?
yes.
She couldn't move at that point.
Yeah, she said it hurt too much.
From where Payton was, well, you're aware of where Payton was found, right?
In the grass near the road.
How far is that from Morgan's house?
Boy, a couple blocks maybe?
And from Anissa's house?
Probably about the same.
Payton told you that in around January or February of 2014 is when Morgan really started to become obsessed with this creepypasta stuff, right?
Yeah, that's when she said she started to get interested in the creepypasta.
And that's when she started to send Payton weird things through email.
Yes,
Payton was considering somewhat not being friends with Morgan anymore, right?
yes,
And I think this is important testimony, actually, and here's why. Because we're trying to understand why this happened, right? And if we could, ideally, right, we'd want to understand so that we can maybe prevent this from happening again. Now, I think that this is important because I think that it explains the dynamic between the 3 girls. It was Anissa who introduced Slender Man and creepypasta to Morgan. Morgan, because she was friends with Payton before she was friends with Anissa, wanted to include Payton in this. And Payton was like, bruh, this ain't for me. I'm not into it like you are, which is what I think further bound Morgan to Anissa. They had this interest, this fascination in common.
And at least you spoke a little bit about Payton's relationship with Anissa. You remember that?
yes,
Payton told you that Anissa is very rude, right?
yes,
She hits people.
yes,
She says bad words.
yes,
And she blames it on being tired or hungry, right?
yes.
Now, the morning that this happened, before there...
I'm glad he asked this question because this is important also. eliciting whether or not Payton was aware of an explanation that Anissa may or may not have given for why she acted the way she did makes it's important testimony, because Payton says that she blamed it on being hungry or tired. Now, being hungry and tired cannot possibly be Morgan's influence. And I think that is important. It's an important distinction for the jury.
They're at the playground or in the woods. They're back at Morgan's house. And Payton told you some things about that, right?
Yes.
She told you that they were doing quizzes, right?
Yes.
And in the course of doing quizzes, one of the things Anissa, I guess, was quizzing Payton on was, what if someone came up to you and started to try and stab you?
Yes.
Right? Payton told you about this?
Yes.
Payton even told you that, I thought it was really ironic that a half hour later I'm being stabbed?
Yes.
Even at the time at Morgan's house, when Payton was being asked about what would you do if someone tried to stab you, she thought it was pretty strange, right?
Yes.
Payton told you that Anissa acted a lot different when Morgan wasn't there, right?
Yes.
And that she thought some of the bad behavior she observed by Anissa was simply Anissa's attempt to get Morgan's attention, right?
Yes.
Payton told you that.
Yes. She felt she was doing it to impress Morgan.
Payton told you about some other things that were kind of strange to her that morning before they left for the park, right?
Yes.
Like Morgan was packing a bag to go to the park.
Yes.
That seemed strange to Payton.
Yes, it did.
Why would you pack a bag? We're just going a few blocks away to play, right?
Correct.
You testified about what happened inside of this bathroom at the playground, right?
Yes.
And how at one point Morgan grabbed Payton's arms and held them behind her.
Yes.
And when Morgan was doing that, Anissa was standing in front of Payton.
Yes.
And Payton told you, she heard Morgan say, we agreed you were going to do this, right?
Yes.
Payton wasn't stabbed then, though, was she?
Correct.
And then later on, shortly thereafter, I guess, they kind of flip-flop, and Anissa's holding Payton's arms, right?
Yes.
And Morgan's standing in front of Payton.
Yes.
She's not stabbed then either, is she?
Correct.
And this is all in the bathroom, right?
Yes.
After that, Payton leaves the bathroom, leaves Morgan and Anissa inside, right?
Yes.
You told us that Payton recognized that Anissa was into creepypasta, but not as much as Morgan.
Yes.
Payton never told you anything about Anissa being obsessed, right?
Correct.
And Anissa was never sending Payton any scary emails or anything like that?
Correct.
Payton and Anissa weren't actually friends either, so that might be why. And also, like I said, I just, based on Anissa's dad's testimony and also seeing him in Beware the Slender Man, because they did show a lot of Mr. Weier in that documentary, specifically interacting with Anissa's younger brother. And I think he ran a tight ship, and I don't think he would have allowed this business with Slender Man and creepypasta and all that. I think he would have taken one look at that and said, nope, not today. And I think that's why Anissa had to keep it on the low. But Anissa was every bit as obsessed with Slender Man as Morgan was, probably more so.
Do you have
Hold on a minute, because if you remember, when Anissa was being interrogated, she said the reason that she did this, the reason that she wanted to do this was to prove to the skeptics that Slender Man was real.
Any of those exhibits in front of you still?
No.
You remember Mr. Smith showing you these policy exhibits, right?
Yes.
Show you exhibit H again. You recognize that as a notebook you found in Morgan's locker at school?
Yes.
Show you one of these pages again. Remember being shown this page?
Yes.
You can see that in front of you?
Yes.
Those are defenses against slenders, apparently, right?
Yes.
Can you look at that real closely for me, Detective Fisher, and tell me where on there it indicates that a defense against Slender Man is to brutally stab Payton 19 times in the woods?
I don't see that on here.
Say anything on there about having to kill Payton as a defense against Slender Man?
No.
In any of those exhibits that Mr. Smith showed you, say anything in any of those about killing Payton?
No.
Actually, it doesn't look, from what I can see from those exhibits, that it says anything about killing anybody for Slender Man, to defend against any of that. Doesn't say any of that in there.
I don't have anything else, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Redirect.
Just have one more, there's probably one more question.
Also, good morning, boss lady. Good to see you, babe. And I feel like somebody else came in and I missed them. Kimberly, good morning.
I just want to show you that document that you just saw on the screen there. Okay, it says defenses, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what it seems to be referring to is when we see Slender Man, when we see Abbott, when we see Ben drown, when we see Jeff the Killer, when we see Maskey and Hoodie, these are things we do when we see these real live characters. Isn't that what that is?
I don't know about the real live part, but yes, this is what you should do when you see, or what you should offer to these characters.
Okay. So when we get to Slender Mansion, when we get to that forest, this is what we do to protect ourselves.
Yes, some of it is for protecting yourself, and then there's other things of what you should do with these characters, like let's play hide and seek.
Okay.
Good morning, Mama Four. Good to see
There's
you.
no documents that you found that talks about how we become proxies, right?
Yes.
So I'll just leave it there, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's
any
probably a
recross?
good
No,
idea.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Then then Detective Fisher, is she under a subpoena?
She is, but she can release.
Any objections?
No.
All right, then Detective, you're released. Have a good day.
Thank you.
This would be a good time to take a break.
Yes.
So we'll take about a 15-minute break at this time. All right, thank you. Please be seated. We'll be back on the record in State versus Weier, same appearances.
I would just like to point out for the record that I appreciate Law News Network, now known as Law and Crime Network, for editing this in such a way that I don't have to skip through the breaks. It's fantastic. Well done. Appreciate that. Here we go.
Attorney McMahon, do you have a witness to call?
I do, sir. That would be Mr. Thomas Haynes.
If I remember correctly, and I think that I do, this is one of Anissa's former teachers at the elementary school. I believe Prairie Elementary School, if I'm not mistaken.
And sir, step up, stay standing. Raise your right hand. Clerk will swear you in.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, then be seated.
Also, Chicken Shite says, masky and hoodie, not very imaginative. Yeah, I don't think that, and I don't mean to sound rude or judgy, but I don't think that the people that author some of these creepypastas are going to be winning any literary awards anytime soon. That's all.
Then pull up to the microphone and sit with the red light ahead of you.
Yeah, that's who it
State
is.
your full name and spell your last name.
Sure, full name is Thomas Haynes, Haynes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Haynes, what do you do for a living?
I'm a teacher
And where do you teach?
in the school district of Waukesha.
And at some point in time, were you the teacher for Anissa Weier?
Yes, for 4th and 5th grade.
And the young lady I'm pointing to over here with the long hair, is that Ms. Weier?
Yes,
And so you were her 4th and 5th grade teacher.
correct.
Do you recall what subjects you taught her?
She was in my homeroom, but primarily I taught math, writing, science, and social studies.
Okay. So the majority of her classes were with you?
Correct.
And that was for a 2-year period of time.
Yes.
During that time period, were you aware of any difficult circumstances that happened in Anissa's home?
I was aware of that her parents were going through a divorce.
And did she have an issue with that?
She was upset by it.
Okay. And did the school take any action to assist her?
She was part of a group of kids whose parents were also going through a divorce
So there
with
was
our school counselor.
Okay. So
I wanted to mention that if you guys do decide to check out that documentary from 2020, which is The Slender Man Stabbing, The Untold Story, this gentleman is featured in it. And when he's talking about Anissa, he brings out the yearbook and she signed it and said something to the effect of you're like my second dad or something like that, which made him tear up because, he feels like, shoulda, woulda, coulda, were there things, were there signs that I just didn't notice that I could have changed things. If I was that big of an influence on her that she would refer to me as like her second father, maybe I could have done something to prevent this from happening. He feels an amazing amount of guilt. Crime Crochet and Coiffe says, so crazy story. I'm laid up at my mama's house after a neighbor dog attacked me, took a huge chunk out of both calves and my thigh and my side. He got me down and literally started biting me all over. Oh my God, Crime Crochet and Coiffe. I am so sorry that happened to you. That's got to be scary. But I'm glad you're here with us. And I hope you heal fast.
So the school counselor had a support group,
Yes,
and that was specifically for children whose parents were divorcing,
correct.
and Ani participated in it.
Yes.
During the time that you worked with her in 4th and 5th grade, how was she doing in school?
She was a great student, respectful. She was doing well academically.
Okay. Did she have any areas where she struggled?
Socially, maybe making friends.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about that?
I think there was times where she would be upset that a lot of the other kids weren't including her and stuff sometimes.
Okay.
She wanted to be friends with some, and sometimes 4th and 5th grade girls aren't the nicest.
Okay. Did you ever have occasion to talk to her about that?
Yeah, we talk quite a bit, as I do with a lot of my students.
Okay. With Anissa, were there any particular times when you spoke with her that you can recall?
I think a lot of the private conversations might have happened during lunch or recess time where we could talk privately.
Okay, so other children would be off having lunch or recess together and she would stay back with you?
Correct.
And was she ever tearful about the situation?
Yeah, there was times where she was crying, where she was upset.
Okay. And as a teacher, you tried to help her through it?
Yep.
And
An area maybe she could have improved on is organization, being on time for things, at times focus.
okay.
But like I said, she was academically good.
Okay. So sometimes she had problems with focus, but she was able to do her work at a good level.
Correct.
And did she appear to be trying very hard?
She put good effort into her schoolwork, yes.
And when you said organization, can you give me an example of what the issue might be there?
I'm trying to think, maybe just, disorganized desk, where she kept her supplies, her cubby. I can't think of anything else specifically.
So disorganized desk, maybe had trouble finding things
Yes,
because of the lack of organization?
correct.
Okay. But again, you had a very good relationship with her, correct?
I think so.
And she turned to you for help.
Yes,
And she was placed in a group to help her through her parents' divorce.
correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay.
And thank you. Cross-examination.
No questions, Judge?
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Is Mr. Haynes under subpoena?
He is, and we can release him from the subpoena. Thank you,
Any
sir.
objections?
No.
All right, you're released, sir. Have a good day. Thank you for being here.
The next witness would be Krista Crowder.
And if you'd stay standing, raise your right hand and a little higher, and our clerk will swear you in.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, then be seated. Thank you. Then state your full name and spell your last name.
My name is Krista Crowder, Krauter.
And Ms. Crowder, where do you work?
I work at Horning Middle School in Waukesha.
And what is your job?
I am a middle school flight academy advisor at Horning.
And what is Flight Academy?
It is a multi-age program for students in grades 6 through 8 where they work in an interdisciplinary approach. We combine science, social studies, reading and writing, and math, and interdisciplinary projects that the students work on and choose.
And when you say an interdisciplinary approach, what does that mean?
That means that instead of the traditional setting where students go to one math class, one social studies class, one science class throughout the day, they have 7 different periods. We try to combine those subjects together into project-based units.
And in years past, in 2013 and 14, was Anissa Weier one of your students?
Yes, she was.
And do you recognize the young lady sitting over there as Miss Weier?
Yes, I do.
And what grade was she in when she was in Flight Academy?
She was in 6th grade.
And as part of Flight Academy, she received some technology to use, correct?
Correct.
All Flight Academy students are issued, I believe, it's an iPad or?
At that time, it was just the Flight Academy students and at Horning that had iPads. Now all of our students in the district have iPads.
Okay. And they used those to work on their various projects.
Correct.
And the district had a policy that they weren't supposed to be using it for other things, correct?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that sometimes students strayed from that policy?
I would imagine there is a possibility of that.
Okay. How did Anissa like the program?
This was 3 years ago. From what I remember, she was an advocate for our program. She enjoyed the interdisciplinary approach and having more choice as to how she was learning and how she was showing what she was learning. I think that she enjoyed coming to school every day.
Okay. And you said that she was an advocate for your program. She served as a tour guide, correct?
Correct.
And what does that mean?
We have hundreds of visitors come and see us every year from across the country and world. And we often ask our students to take one of the adults on a tour of our spaces and talk to them about how they learn and what they're learning. And Anissa was one of those tour guides.
Okay. And how did she get along, to the best of your recollection, with the teachers?
Just fine.
And how was she as a student?
She was a great student. She was a leader with other students. She finished her work when we asked her to. She enjoyed learning. She worked on projects. She was a great student.
And when you gave her rules, she followed them?
Correct.
And did Anissa get along with the peers in her class?
Yes.
Was she ever upset with the other children?
That's hard for me to remember. We work with middle school students, so there are issues every day that they have. I don't remember anything out of the ordinary that happened with Anissa.
Do you remember if Anissa was thrilled when other students didn't follow the rules?
From what I remember, she wanted everybody to follow the rules, so we had, a nice day together. Everybody got along. That's what she expected from the other students.
And she would express that to other students, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you could interpret that just the way it comes out, which is that she just wanted everything to run smoothly and have a great day, right? Or You could interpret that as Anissa got upset when the other children didn't follow the rules because then it became chaos and she wanted to be in control. You could interpret that a couple of different ways.
And there came a time when you actually had to sit down some of the other students and talk to them about being nicer to Anissa.
I don't remember that.
Do you remember talking with Detective Casey
Yes.
years ago? And if his report indicates that you had to talk to some of the girls?
If I said that 3 years ago, it probably happened, yes.
Do you recall her as someone who had a lot of close friends?
She did have some close friends, yes.
Do you recall who they were?
Mm-hmm.
You could use initials.
She was good friends with somebody with the initials of IS and GD.
Okay. And were those children in the flight academy?
Yes.
And you wouldn't have seen her really with children outside of flight academy?
No.
So her co-defendant, for example, Morgan Geyser, you wouldn't have had opportunity to observe them together?
No.
Did her parents ever join you on any of the field trips that the group took?
Not that I remember, no.
Do you recall what interests she seemed to have?
I think that she enjoyed reading and writing, the humanities approach with social studies intermixed.
And Ms. Crowder, is there anything that would refresh your recollection as to what you told Detective Casey when you spoke with him 3 years ago?
Probably reading what I said.
Would you like to take a look at his report and see if
Sure.
it refreshes your recollection?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Of that conversation with the students, no.
Of the conversation with Detective Casey?
With Detective Casey, yes.
Okay. So were there particular interests 3 years ago that you remember that Anissa had?
Yes. Now, after reading the statements that I made, the pangolin, I remember her talking a lot about endangered animals. It was the first time I had ever heard of that animal, and it was from Anissa, and she did a project on the pangolin, and I remember learning a lot from her.
Okay. What's the pangolin?
It's a combination, it's a couple different animals. I don't remember anymore. She did a great job explaining it at the time, and I just remember that I enjoy learning from my students, and that was one example where she really taught me a little bit about that animal.
Okay. And you also indicated to Detective Casey that Anissa was someone you saw as not having very many friends.
She didn't have a lot of friends, no, but she had some close friends, like I just said.
Okay. And you also told Detective Casey that you had to sit down with some of the girls and back them off Anissa. She needs to write down a word. Yes or no on
Yes,
this.
I'm sorry.
Okay. And as you said, these were middle school children, so
Right.
despite the fact that these were children who've been chosen to be in Flight Academy,
They're not chosen. They go through a lottery process, like our STEM Academy follows as well.
okay. So the children in Flight Academy who come in through the lottery process, they're just like every other middle schooler.
Is that a yes or a no?
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's hard to get
I'm
used to.
sorry.
But, so, you recall she had some close friends, but not a lot of friends.
Yes.
Some of the children weren't fond of her because, sounds like, because she was a stickler for the rules. Is that fair?
I would say that's fair.
Yeah, but why was she a stickler for the rules, right? Like, I don't know if I would necessarily categorize it like that, because that's not what I took from what she said. What I took from what she said is that she liked there to be no interruptions, not chaotic, and basically she wanted a controlled environment. That's the only way I know it. It's not so much that it's a stickler for the rules per se, but more like a stickler for there to be no unpredictability. Nothing happens that's not predictable. Like like it was difficult for her to handle chaos or change. That's kind of more how I interpreted it. So, not so much like they didn't want to have weren't friendly with her because, for lack of a better word, and to use a term that kids would have used in that age range, that she was like a tattletale. I don't think that's what it was. I think that if, we were to bring those girls in, I'm sure they would say that she was bossy.
Okay?
Yes.
And she was really devoted to endangered animals.
Yeah.
Endangered animals.
Yes.
You wouldn't have seen her with Morgan Geyser
No.
or Payton.
No.
Nothing further?
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Ms. Crowder, do you have any recollection as to the date that this stabbing occurred?
The date? I know it was the end of May.
Okay. If I told you it was May 31st, 2014, would you have any issue with that?
No.
And do you recall that the stabbing actually occurred on a Saturday?
I do remember that, yes, because we weren't in school at the time.
I think that, Anissa likely had trouble making friends, and the reason the kids didn't like her, specifically the other girls, is because girls don't really like to that I mean, what girls don't wanna be bossed around, they don't wanna be told what to do, and it I think that's what an that's how Anissa comes across, you know, um, is bossy. I don't know another way to put it. All right.
I'm sorry, you weren't in school at the time, did you
Right.
say? Okay.
Uh-huh.
But the day before would have been a Friday and you would have been in school?
Yes.
On May 30th, 2014?
Yes.
Is there anything about Anissa's behavior on May 30th of 2014 that would have led you to believe she was delusional?
No.
Nothing out of the ordinary
Nothing.
that you recall on that day?
No.
Also, and this occurred to me yesterday after we stopped, after we ended for the day, but to me, it seems to me that some of that crying that she did, the way that the stories were portrayed by the people who actually witnessed her crying, and it almost sounds like she really just didn't want to be with the other kids. And so she came up with excuses like they're being mean to me, or, so she was, and to be fair, okay, if at the time, right, in 4th, 5th grades, and obviously 6th grade, her father's ex-wife, the mother to his oldest children, is having to spend a lot of time and attention on the 2 older children and helping out because their mother is sick and dying, right? Then, it would make sense that Anissa would maybe try to do things to get attention. Well, Chicken Shite, this is a good
Do you remember
point.
telling Detective Case?
Hold on a second. I'll rewind that. But Chicken Shite says she has to say no because she can get in trouble for not reporting, so I take her with a grain of salt. I actually think that when it comes to Anissa, that she's telling the truth. I don't think that Anissa suffers from delusion, hallucinations, audio or visual hallucinations. I think that obviously she has some level of delusion, but I don't think that it's such. And this is where I disagree with the jury in this way, in this case, during this trial. I don't think that Anissa suffers, or her mental illness is so great that she cannot control her behavior. That even though she knows it's wrong, she's compelled to do it anyway. I don't think that's the case with Anissa. I don't. I'm not going to get into Morgan because we're not to Morgan yet.
See that it was your opinion that Anissa had to, you believed Anissa knew the difference between fantasy and reality?
Yes.
You told Detective Casey that?
Mm-hmm.
And you believed,
Yes, I'm sorry.
And you believed that to be the case?
Yes.
Nothing else, thank you.
Any redirect?
Ms. Crowder, you believe she understood the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yes.
You never talked about creepypasta with her, did you?
No.
Or Slender Man?
No.
Or Jeff the Killer?
No.
Or anything of that nature?
No.
You talked about the things that were going on in the classroom.
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Any further cross?
No.
The ma'am.
Now, what if we're all looking at this incorrectly? What if Anissa's obsession and fixation with creepypasta and Slender Man is because she actually aspired to be part of a creepypasta story, such as Jeff the Killer? What if that was her true obsession? Just food for thought.
Is your first name with a K or a C?
Okay.
All right, thank you. With that, you are released. If you're on a subpoena, the subpoena may be released as well, true?
Yes.
Yes, she's also under state subpoena, I believe, Your Honor. Does the state wish her to remain under subpoena?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Have a good day. Thank you for being here. Good morning.
Good morning.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right. Now, this is the detective who actually interviewed Anissa. That's who's on the stand right now. Here we go.
Then be seated, pull up to the microphone, and state your full name and spell your last name.
Michelle Trussoni. It's T as in Tom, Russoni.
All right, thank you.
Detective, how are you employed?
I'm a detective with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
And how long have you been a detective with the police department?
3 years.
Okay. And how long have you been with the police department?
17 years now.
And were you employed as a detective on May 31st, 2014?
Yes, I was.
And you were assigned to do an interview of Anissa?
Yes, I was.
And did you record your interview of her in its entirety?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you some videos. And I want to first start off by showing a clip that I've indicated as clip 1. It starts off at the 0 mark, and it ends at about 4 minutes and 44.
Margie, I think 2017. September 13th, 2017. Oh, that buzzing. Oh, that's terrible. Can we fix that, please? Okay, so Violet says maybe Anissa was aware of Morgan's mental health struggles and also wanted something similar to Morgan, almost to use it as an excuse. I would say that there is evidence of that. Yesterday, we heard that there was an exchange, an email exchange between Morgan and Anissa, where Anissa is apologizing to Morgan for having had lied about seeing Slender Man and the ticks. And I think actually that I think more. Well, I know that Anissa was aware of something going on with Morgan, because at the very beginning of the interrogation, she talks about it. She says, just something you should know about Morgan. She talks about, Morgan has a hard time staying on topic. She flits around from, one topic to the next, and she can be jumpy. So yeah, she's keenly aware of issues that are going on with Morgan. But I kind of wonder if it was less about using it as an excuse. It might have been in an effort to use it as an excuse at the time when she was being interrogated, but I wonder if she used it as a way to identify with Morgan, as a way of becoming closer to her, as a way of having something else in common, as a way of saying, see, I see you. I understand you. I'm curious about that. Mirroring. I wonder if she was doing a bit of a mirroring. You want to hear an update from Morgan or from Anissa or from Payton, or all three? I don't think, okay. I don't think that they were faking. I don't think faking is the right word. I do think that they have mental health issues. I do believe that their diagnoses are correct. What I'm saying is, when it comes to Anissa, I don't know that Anissa has a mental health illness to the level that she does not understand or is incapable of correcting her behavior, or what's the other, it's comporting her behavior to the law. I'm not sure. I actually don't, I don't think that her mental health rises to that level. And I'm not, I have thoughts about Morgan, but the only reason I'm not speaking about Morgan right now is because this trial really is about Anissa. So rather than, she was. So when we get to Morgan Chickenshite, you're going to see the difference in how she was. I'll just play news clips. How she was during 2014 up until she started getting medication in 2016. And there's a huge difference in her behavior in the courtroom. And she was, in my estimation, she did appear heavily sedated. Hey, Mel, whatever. Good to see you, babe. I wonder about, she actually is on the schizoaffective spectrum. And I mean, it's possible. I mean, look, it's people can get misdiagnosed, right? And, it's possible that she's potentially on the autism spectrum and it was just missed. Uh, Back then, I don't know. I don't know a lot. I mean, I know some things about the autism spectrum, but I don't have any experience personally with anybody on the spectrum. Um, that being said, I don't have experience with anybody that's been diagnosed on the spectrum that I know that they've been diagnosed. So I try to defer commentary about the spectrum of the autism spectrum just because I don't have experience with it. So I defer to people who do. So I take it all in, and I do say that I think it's a absolute possibility. I don't know what they're doing, but they need to fix this audio. Also, I would imagine that this. I know that diagnosing girls with ADD or ADHD is difficult as well. That frequently they get they go for long periods of time being undiagnosed because it's difficult. No, no, no. And I want to make this really clear to everybody. The things that we're talking about on this channel that come out of my mouth and the things that come out in the side chat that I highlight, um, we're not justifying any of this. We're trying to understand it because I think for me personally, ultimately, the ultimate goal would be to understand this so that we can identify potential warning signs. I mean, this is no different than when they studied serial killers and found that they have some things in common: bedwetting, setting fires, harming small animals, that kind of thing, right? This is no different than that. None of this is an excuse or a justification, but if there are warning signs and we could prevent this from happening again, I think it's totally worth it to discuss all of the ins and outs and all of the things. I agree. So I hope people listening on replay and even listening in the chat or even listening now that aren't chatting because maybe you're doing dishes or scrubbing your bathtub or who knows, maybe you just don't want to people. I hope you guys all understand that we're not trying to justify. All right, here we go. Bruh, are you going to be playing this anytime soon or what? What's happening here?
And during your when you came in there,
I mean, it's not even playing. What are they doing? All right, here we go. Maybe it is here. Oh, the audio is just terrible. Or maybe she's not even saying anything. Who knows? Mel Mel says, no, not at all. I do think the way the brain functions in autistic people is different and could cause some potential issues if social skills, etc., are not taught while young. Absolutely. I think I'm of the opinion always that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. These are a lot of my mission statements, you know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. My name's Paul, that's between y'all. My name's Bennett and I ain't in it. You know, my mission statements, you know, company policy as it were. I have no idea what's going on here. And I don't want to skip anymore in case they get it figured out. She's obviously just sitting there. We have 41 more seconds of whatever this is before there's questions going to be asked, I guess. But I'm always hesitant to skip. Maybe you could zoom out, camera person, because I don't even... this is rough.
And I just wanted to show you that so that you could see it, and let me know if you recognize that as
we're just identifying
the start of the interview of Anissa.
Yes, I recognize that.
Okay, and that's Anissa it's in that corner in that chair.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Your interview with her lasted an entire 3 hours, right?
I believe it's about 3 hours.
Okay, and I'm not going to show the entire thing, but there's like 3 hours of recorded interviews of her approximately on that date, correct?
Right, it wasn't continuous, but the time frame of the video is 3 hours.
Okay.
So.
And I think at the
I have to get off task just one more time. Well, just one more time until the next time. But every time I notice that all week, whenever I've paused and looked over at the time, it's been 11:11 Central Standard Time currently, and that always makes me think of Gannon. That's all. That's all I wanted to point out. Here we go.
the beginning of your questioning of Anissa, so when you came in there, was she crying?
She looked upset.
Okay, and I think you may have mentioned that you recognized that she was upset.
Correct.
Were there also periods later on in your questioning of her that she again became upset and possibly began to cry?
Yes.
And during your questioning of Anissa, for the most part, it was just you and her alone in the room, is that correct?
Yes, that's
I
correct.
think there were some evidence technicians that came in at one point to do some work, but for the most part, it was the two of you.
Right, it was just us, yes.
During your questioning of Anissa, did she begin to talk to you about creepypasta?
Yes, she did.
And did she talk to you about how she became aware of creepypasta?
Yes.
I'm going to show you another clip.
Slender Man creepypasta. I first heard about it on YouTube. I was watching a Minecraft mod showcase by Sky does Minecraft or something. Okay. And it said it was the creepypasta mod. So I was like, hey, what's a creepypasta? I watched the whole video and I was like, oh, that's interesting. A few months later, I asked my friend Kelly, the one who I got the skull bracelet from. Okay. I asked her who that Jack or Jeff or killer was from the creepypasta. And then she told me about Eyeless Jack and Laughing Jack. Laughing Jack is supposed to be like a clown that also targets children. And then Eyeless Jack, he wears a blue fawn mask, no mouth. Two big black holes for eyes that are like oozing this weird black ooze. And then supposedly he eats human kidneys. Wow.
And just for the record, Judge, that is the 23 minutes, 17 seconds to 27 minutes and 43 seconds mark.
All right, very good.
Let me just verify that, Judge. I may have given you the wrong clip. I'm sorry, I misspoke. That is the 56-minute, 34-second mark to the 57-minute, 47-second mark. And what we just saw there was, I believe, Anissa explaining to you what creepypasta was.
Yes,
And prior to meeting with Anissa, did you know anything about creepypasta?
I did not.
During your interview with her, did she share with you finding evidence on the wiki that Jeff the Killer and Slender Man were real?
Yes, she did.
And Judge, I'm going to play a clip from the 28-minute, 5-second mark to the 29-minute, 24-second mark.
So it's clip 3.
And so she said, well, we have to kill Bella to prove ourselves to the Slender? Yes.
And what did you think of this when she was telling you?
I was surprised, but like also kind of excited because I wanted proof that he existed because there were a bunch of skeptics out there saying that he didn't exist. And then there's a bunch of photos online and sources online saying that they did see him.
Okay. So a lot of people believe that Slender actually exists.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of talk about this on the internet, I bet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you at first thought...
At first I was kind of surprised and didn't want to do it, but later I didn't want to leave Morgan all by herself out here because who knows, many creeps are out here. So I decided to go along, tag along, so I let it be to prove skeptics wrong.
Okay. So did you think that you actually had to kill somebody to do it?
Yeah.
Like for real?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so she's talking about her finding evidence of Slender Man, Jeff the Killer on the internet.
Yes.
And she's talking about, finding it on Wiki.
Right.
She talks about also going with Morgan because she's afraid of Morgan going along and encountering this creature. Is that correct?
Yes, it sounds like at first she didn't want to, but then she didn't want Morgan to go by herself.
Okay. And she says something about encountering that creature.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what term she used, but
And did she talk to you about proxies?
yes, she did.
Did she talk to you about her and Morgan wanting to become proxies?
Yes.
And did she talk to you about becoming proxies and proving Slender Man was real?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And I'm going to play clip 2, Judge. And that's from the 23-minute, 17-second mark to the 27-minute, 40.
Can we start from the beginning? So you guys, this was a birthday party, right? Okay, kind of tell me what happened. So, there's this website called the Creepypasta Wiki. Okay. It's full of, like, horror stories that are meant to purposely scare you through, like, online literature and all that. Okay. And there's one of them called Slender Man. It's, like, really, Slender Man? Slender Man.
Oh, Slender Man, like skinny guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he has these proxies or servants, as people call them.
Okay.
Basky and Hoodie. And Morgan said, "Hey, Anissa, we should be proxies." And I was like, "Okay, how would we do that?" And that was around end of December, beginning of January.
Okay. And a proxy again, what is a proxy?
It's like a servant or like an apprentice.
Okay, and they're a servant of who?
The whichever they kind of don't have a choice. Slender's like the really big, he's like the head of it all, supposedly.
Okay, so Slender's the big guy.
Yeah.
The top guy. And the proxies are his puppets.
Yes, that's how people put them, puppets.
Oh, okay. Well, I never even heard of this before. Okay. And it's called Creepypasta Wiki?
Yes, ma'am.
Like W-I-K-I?
Yes.
Okay.
You can find it online.
Sure.
Search something like I Love Jack, which is another killer.
Mm-hmm.
There are killers and proxies. Proxies are apprentices to killers, and killers are either by themselves or have proxies.
And the killers have proxies do it for them?
No.
Okay. There's either killers or proxies?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that much about proxies and all that.
Okay.
I just know what the internet has told me.
Okay. So the internet has told you that Slender, is there just one?
Yes.
Okay. So Slender has a bunch of proxies, a bunch of puppets?
Yes.
And amongst these puppets, there are also killers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So proxies or puppets and killers are not the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Like on a triangle chart, Slender would be up here.
Okay.
Then it'd be like killers and then proxies.
Okay, so killers outrank the proxies.
Yeah. And then there's another creepypasta that's supposed to be really powerful. It's like Zalgo or something. It's supposedly a demon with
Okay, so what she's doing there is she's going over with you her understanding of what Slender Man is, what killers are, what proxies are.
Right, everything that she's learned.
And she even tells you at one point, you can go onto the internet, go online, you can find evidence of this yourself.
What she's been looking at, right.
Okay. And she tells you she knows all this because that's what the internet told her.
Correct.
During your questioning of Anissa, did you ask her how they were going to do it, how they were going to become proxies?
Yes.
And did she tell you that she was the one who was supposed to stab Payton?
Well, it was kind of a long, convoluted process to how it was going to happen. It was Morgan's idea that that they needed to kill Bella, and that's how they were going to become proxies.
Okay. And she did tell you that she was the one who was supposed to do the stabbing?
Yes, yes.
And she did tell you, too, that she was not able to do so?
Yes, it seemed to go back and forth when she was able to and when she wasn't able to, and continue to hand the knife back and forth, right?
And she told you that happened about 2 times. At one time, it happened in a bathroom?
Right, it happened in the bathroom.
And did she tell you that that also happened, the handing the knife back and forth happened in the woods as well?
Yes, yes it did.
And did she tell you that she herself was not able to do it either one of those times?
That's correct.
And did she tell you that she was the one who did tell Morgan to do it?
Yes, she did tell me that.
And I'm going to play clip 13, Judge. That's the 2-minute, 39-second, 2 hour, 39 minutes, 14 seconds into the video. And then
You had said something before about saying go ballistic?
Yeah.
What was that? So,
Like, I meant go ballistic, go crazy, make sure she's down.
and that's when you start walking away?
And then after that, like, 5, 10 feet away, I said now. And then William said, don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat.
Go ballistic, go crazy?
So that's her telling you that she did say to Morgan, do this.
Yes.
Okay, she didn't appear to try to hide her involvement in this, right?
No, not at all.
And I think there was a point when she was describing what happened, what she saw, and she began to cry. Is that true?
I don't understand.
When she was describing what she saw, when she saw the stabbing, she began to cry herself. Right?
When she was explaining that to me?
Yes.
I believe there was a time, yes, she began to cry.
She then said that, did she tell you that after the stabbing that they had to go somewhere?
Yes.
And where did she say they needed to go?
Well, she needed to go to, once they did the stabbing, they needed to go to the Nicolay National Forest, which is where Slender Man's mansion was located.
And did she describe them having a map?
She said that, I believe she said that Morgan had memorized the map to get there in her head.
Okay, so she didn't describe actually physically having a map. It was in Morgan's mind.
Yes, as I recall.
Did she tell you that she had to walk possibly for 2 days and 18 hours, she thought, to get there, or over 2 days?
I don't remember her saying a specific time frame. She just explained that the mansion was in, I think she called it Leola or Leona, which I'm aware is in the northern part of the state. So whether or not she told me a time frame, I don't recall, but I just know that it's quite a distance.
Okay, and she did describe it as having to walk a long, long way?
Yes, that they were going to be walking, yes.
Okay. And that's to get to the Slender Mansion?
Correct.
Okay, that's cool. Now I'm going to play clip 5, Judge.
Why do you have to go far away? What was this discussion about?
Supposedly, Morgan found out that Slender lives in the middle of, Slender has this big mansion that all the creepypastas supposedly live in, and it's supposedly in the middle of Nicollet National Park, or Forest, or whatever, up in Luna, Wisconsin. So we were going to walk the whole way there. I realize it's really, really far.
And did Anissa tell you anything about, after they left, stopping at a Walmart?
Yes.
Did she tell you that they each became to a point where they had nervous breakdowns as they were walking?
Yes, towards the end of their walk, which was well past the Walmart and whatnot, but she said that they both had somewhat of a nervous breakdown.
Did she talk to you about, as they were walking to Slender Mansion, asking Slender Man's help as they were walking to his mansion?
Yes, I recall, I believe Morgan had called out and asked for Slender Man's help.
Okay, I'm going to play clip 9.
Yeah, whenever I'm really bored, I go on my iPad and I go to the creepypasta Wikia, and then there's a button you can click for random pasta. I read whichever random one pops up.
And so in reading these, you truly believe that Slender exists, that there's Slender out there in your
Not
mind?
anymore, because we like asked for his help when Morgan and I were having nervous breakdowns, and he didn't do anything. Nothing happened.
Before this today, leading up to and even after,
While we were walking and having a nervous breakdown while I was laying on the side of the road. Morgan said, Slender, if you're listening, please help us. Anissa is having a nervous breakdown. And then she started kind of crying.
But you truly believe beforehand,
I believed. But now I know that it's just teenagers who really like scaring people and making them believe false things.
So she says in that clip that as they were walking, they were calling out for Slender Man.
Yes, Morgan did, yes.
Okay. And she also says that before the stabbing, she really believed that Slender Man was real.
Yes.
After they were leaving, after they left Walmart and they were walking, I think they walked for a couple hours. Did she tell you that they ran out of water?
Yes.
Okay, and did she tell you that they stopped at Steinhoppel's to refill their water bottles?
Yes, I believe they filled up both at Walmart and at Steinhoppel's.
Okay, so the 2 water bottles that they took to carry all the way to Slender Man's mansion and Nicolay National Forest, they were completely out of water before they even left Waukesha.
Right, yes.
Did Anissa tell you that she really believed that Slender Man existed?
Well, in the clip that you just played, that's what she explains.
Okay. And did she tell you that at another point as well?
She said that there were skeptics out there and she wanted to put them on.
Okay, I'm going to play clip 4, Jeff.
On the creepypasta wiki, but he's actually a real person. Jeffrey Woods. He supposedly murdered his whole family somewhere in there. Found that out, and we're just like, okay, so we know at least Jeff is real.
Okay.
So we got our hopes up and thought that everybody else was real.
Okay. And then Jeff is called what online?
Jeff the Killer. And supposedly he went insane, so he burned off his eyelids and took a butcher knife and cut a big smile into his face. And his supposedly long black hair about down to here, and ice blue eyes. That's what the wiki says also.
All right, I just need to take a brief pause for Jen does too know, head of house. Jen does know because Jen has watched Big Brother, but Mel sounds like a Big Brother house. And Chicken Shite said Mel Slender Man is HOH, which is head of household. And it reminded me of, yes, Big Brother house, but with demons. And due to that, there's this. Why it removed me. That was rude. But yes, here's what I say. The more you never look stupid, Mel. And it's fine that you did that. I love it. I love that you included me. You know me. I love to be included. You know, I have FOMO, the worst of everybody. But the more I listen to Anissa, and I probably will listen to her interrogation in its entirety again, because every time you listen to something like this, you pick up new things, right? But I think I'm starting to sort of have this little rough theory going on up in this brain of mine that, to me, it's more coming across as Anissa's motive. To me, sounds like she wanted to be a creepypasta story. I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's talk about these closed captions real quick. Can we? Because I don't think there's anything in the actual things that are being said that is about hair, about damn nice sheer and ice blue eyes, but donkeys and salsa. I don't think Anissa said any of these words. However, let us go back. Wow. Now they're cussing. Interesting. All right. Oh my.
Supposedly long black hair about down to here and ice blue eyes. That's what Blakey said also.
And he killed a bunch of people?
Including his own family. That's what the news report said anyway.
Okay.
Also, around the time of the whole Slender Man on Creepypasta, right? There was a Photoshop contest going on at the same time to Photoshop a realistic, believable, I think they called it a paranormal event, but at any rate, it was primarily the ones that were submitted were all of children, either on a playground or maybe in their yard, whatever. But then this man in a suit without a face was photoshopped into the pictures. So yes, always Mel, always. But yeah, so when Morgan or Anissa is talking about these, there was proof. Those are the images that if you Google, those will come up. And obviously that is not if you just Google an image, right? Google will show you 11 billion different images. You have no way of ascertaining whether that image is actually related to specifically what you're searching and if it's a true image, unless you actually click where the image came from, the link. There's a link below the image that will say visit. Okay. Everybody knows how Google works. I don't know why I went through that in such painstaking detail for literally zero reason. And I'll give you an example. When I searched Nancy Spungen 1970s, there's a picture of, it's actually Jerry Hall with Sid Vicious. Okay. I know, because I know who Jerry Hall is, I know that is not Nancy Spungen. But yet, if I were a 12-year-old who was just Googling images to see them, I wouldn't know that. And if I didn't know who Jerry Hall was, I might have thought that was Nancy Spungen. They don't look anything alike. But you take my point. I think I'm belaboring it, and now I'm just going on and have made it weird. Here we go.
So he's considered a slender?
No, he's considered a killer.
He's considered a killer. Okay. Hence Jeff the killer.
Yep.
And he's known to exist. News reports say that he exists.
If you go on Google Images and search Jeffrey Wood's news article about...
Yes, Mel. Let's get it. Do it. All right, here we go.
A bunch of news articles will come up, and then there'll be a picture of, a 17-year-old boy with, who kind of looks like me, but it was a black and white picture, and he had...
OMG. I totally forgot about this part where she says he kind of looks like me. Yesterday, we were talking in the side chat, and Patricia asked, hey, you notice that now that she's in court and away from her parents' care, right, she's got long hair, but in the interrogation video, she's got short hair, right? And I meant to revisit that at the end because they show a picture of Anissa at the beginning of her 6th grade year. She had long hair. Then during this interrogation, obviously, we're talking about May. So this is the end of 6th grade. At some point between the beginning of 6th grade when the class picture is taken and the end of 6th grade, she had this haircut. And now I really am wondering, because she said kind of like me. Did she do this to be a creepypasta?
Has kind of the same hair as me also.
Okay. Did you cut your hair to make it look like it?
No,
No.
it was just coincidence.
And so you guys knew that Jeff the killer, an actual killer in this triangle, exists. So you thought it would be exciting to find out, hey, if we can be a proxy and prove and do this, kill Bella, then we know that Slender exists.
If we
Okay, so she's asked about it and she says, no, it's just a coincidence. And I'm not I'm not, whoever cut her hair because that's how more than likely it's because that's how she asked for her hair to be cut, which is not. I'm trying to think back to 2014 and like the Scene Girls, because it seems like they were somewhere in between like a scene girl and an emo gothic kind of hybrid. And I don't remember that being a hairdo. Just saying.
saw him, actually, we think we see him sometimes.
Okay.
Like when we were walking up to where we were going, we saw him, like, I saw him out of the corner of my eye on this side.
Okay.
And then Morgan said she heard a twig crack when no one was moving.
Mel, this person that you know personally who did a TikTok haircut, could we maybe get a picture? I'm gonna put my email in the chat. And by we, I use the royal we. Me. It's just me.
So today, after everything happened with Bella, when you guys were walking, you thought you saw Slender as you were walking?
This was after Morgan stabbed her.
Okay. So you thought that possibly you would see a Slender?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so in that clip, in the timestamp is 29 minutes, 24 seconds to 32 minutes and 33 seconds. What she's telling you is that based upon her ability to confirm the existence of some creepypasta characters through the internet, she believed that Slender Man was real.
Yes.
And she also explains to you that she found newspaper articles that verified the real-life existence of some of the characters.
Yes, that's what she...
And one of the ones that she was telling you that she was able to find confirmation of was Jeff the Killer.
Right.
Right, and she said that she found all this stuff on the wiki.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She went
Yes.
on the internet,
Yes.
and she found newspaper reports.
Yes.
She said you go and just do a Google images search. What you'll find is newspaper articles, images of Jeff the Killer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Objection leading.
And she also told you that she has herself seen Slender Man, correct?
She said that she saw blips, I believe, glimpses of him twice.
And even after the stabbing, she said that she saw Slender Man as she was walking towards Slender Mansion.
That's the first time that she told me she saw him.
Okay. And you actually indicated also that there were times where she told you that she saw Slender Man prior to the stabbing?
Yes.
And she said that did she say she personally saw him about 2 times as she was riding on the school bus?
Yes.
Okay, Judge, and I'm going to play clip number 10.
Morgan then said, we have to kill Bella today. And I was like, but can't we stay another night and do it tonight? Because I was still kind of scared and kind of hopeful.
Scared and kind of hopeful. What do you mean?
Like, I was scared because, A, I would never see my family again. And B, I was kind of hopeful to prove that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't seeing things. Because even I saw Slender a few times. I think that was probably my mind playing tricks on me.
See, that's a tell right there, in my opinion anyway. And I want to make this very, very clear for anybody listening now and anybody listening in the future. I'm only reacting to what I'm hearing on the stream, all right, what I'm playing currently. I'm not qualified to treat. I'm not qualified to diagnose. I mean, obviously, if I'm not qualified to diagnose, I dang sure I'm not qualified to treat, right? I said those backwards, but you take my meaning. These are just my opinions, okay? And that's all. To me, See, the thing about having hallucinations, visual hallucinations or auditory hallucinations, are that they're real to you. So if this is what you experience on your day to day, you would assume that other people, because it's all you know, right? That other people see these, especially when you're young, that other people see these things as well. If this is something you've had for quite some time. It's also my opinion, just based on life experiences, watching trials like these, listening to the testimony of psychiatrists and psychologists and mental health evaluators and mental health professionals, that when a person is in the middle or experiencing in that moment a break with reality, they're not aware that they're experiencing it in that moment. And so some of the language that Anissa uses here, I don't know another way to really describe it to you guys other than to put it like it is a little Letitia-esque. It really is. She's talking to me, the way that it comes across is that she's speaking about something that she has read about, seen on TV, something, but she doesn't have, it's not a firsthand experience. That's just how it comes across to me.
Was this before the party that you saw Slender? You've seen him before?
Twice. Once, well, they were both on a bus. We ride the same bus, just to and from school. So we were like talking on the bus. I look out the window and I see this supposed snake standing like this with tendrils, looks exactly like a tree. They were going like that. And I told Morgan, and so I actually thought that he was real because I saw him.
So there's a few things that she said there. She said that on the bus riding to school that she saw Slender Man 2 times, correct?
Yes.
And she also said that one of the things that was going to be hard for her was to, when she left to go to Slender Mansion, she was not going to ever see her family again, right?
Correct.
And I believe she told you as well that Morgan has seen Slender Man previously as well.
Before she answers that, I'd also like to point out that at no time does she talk about being in fear for herself, right? Like, if I don't do this, Slender Man will get my family, right? She doesn't talk about that. And also, at no time does she express fear, apprehension, anything about taking another person's life. Just food for thought. Here we go.
I don't recall. I know she said that she heard a twig snap from the wind, but I don't recall if Morgan had said that she had seen it.
Oh,
Seen as well.
11.
December or January, Morgan, who also was into creepypasta, did you introduce her to it, or did she already know about it?
She said that she had seen Slender also in like old pictures that she has.
Okay.
So I told her about them, and then she said, "Oh my God, I think I saw Slender when I was like 5, because she supposedly used to live in like a really heavily wooded area."
Okay.
And Slender likes to stay in woods.
Wooded areas. Okay. So in December and January, Morgan approaches you and says, she tells you that you should be proxies of Slender, her puppets. And you say, okay, well, how do we do that? And she says, well, we have to kill Bella, or Payton, right? And this will prove ourselves to Slender.
And prove ourselves worthy.
Prove yourself worthy to Slender. And what would that do for you? Is that to get Slender to like you?
Yeah, because Slender ain't trying to recruit no punks. I just, there's something I feel so mean saying this because she's a kid, right? But there's just something that does not have the ring of truth to what she's saying. I cannot explain it better than that. I mean, I'm sure I could, but it would be like a Miss America answer, and who needs that? Here we go.
So technically, if you're a proxy, you have to live in, supposedly you live in Slender Mansion and take orders directly from him.
So that'd be
Wait. Back the milk truck up. Didn't you just say in a prior clip that your team played that you don't know that much about proxies? Well, which is it, ma'am? Sounds like you know quite a bit about a proxy. Just saying. Here we go.
you need to, you would enjoy that, or you think that's kind of cool for the time?
At the time, it was really cool, but again, I wanted to prove all skeptics wrong.
Okay.
So in that clip, she says that when she and Morgan are talking about the Slender, Morgan reveals that when she was younger and lived near the woods, she saw Slender Man as early as that.
Yes.
Okay, and she says that's something Morgan told her. That's basically proof that Slender Man is real.
Yes.
She also I want to back up a little bit.
Yeah, let's back up to the part.
Recording that we're
Hold
seeing
on.
right now.
Let's back up to the part where your client contradicted herself. Can we back up to that part? Don't worry, I'm sure the state will. All right, here we go.
That was your interview, meeting with Anissa when she was 12 years old, correct?
Yes, that's
correct.
correct.
And that was the same day that the stabbing occurred?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at some point, did Anissa tell you that Morgan made some sort of deal with Slender Man?
Yes, she did.
And did she tell you that Morgan said that if they did not follow through with the deal, that Slender Man will kill their families?
Yes.
And did Anissa tell you that she had to do it because of that danger that her family was in?
Well, that statement that Morgan had said to Anissa was made after the stabbing. That she had made the deal with Slender Man that if Payton wasn't killed, that Slender Man would hurt their families. So that was after the stabbing.
Well, I'll play clip 7 for you.
When Morgan said to you that if we don't do this for Slender, our families and loved ones are going to be killed, do you honestly believe that?
Well, yeah, because he could be anywhere from 6 feet to 14 feet tall. He's, like I said, a tall guy who constantly wears a suit with a red tie. He doesn't have a face. His skin is white. And at his own will, he can explain these tendrils from his back and strangle his victims. And from what the creepypasta wiki said, he targets children most. And so I was really scared, knowing that Slender could easily kill my whole family in 3 seconds.
Okay, so she's talking about characteristics of Slender Man. Right?
Correct. Yes.
And she talks about his ability to appear out of thin air.
Right.
And she talks about her belief that that's how quickly he can move.
Right.
And she talks about her belief that her family would be in danger if that did not occur, the stabbing, right?
Yes, since Morgan had made that deal, yes.
Again, this is your questioning of Anissa, just parts of it, and I want to acknowledge this is not the entire interview that you conducted with her, right?
Right, right.
The entire thing, again, it lasted like 3 hours.
Right.
Okay.
Listen, sir.
And throughout...
Don't make me be rude, all right? But at this point, I cannot not point out. I have to point out the fact that at the end of the day, you can play the clips however you want to play the clips. I understand that there are clips that they're not the entirety, but I did watch the entirety. And your client very much did say that the fear came after the fact. Now, that little clip that you played is her explanation as to why she would be in fear of Slender Man and what he could potentially do to her family. Again, after she killed or she participated in the stabbing of Payton. Don't play with us, okay?
Your interview with Anissa that day, she continued to maintain that before that stabbing, she believed that Jeff the Killer, Slender Man were real, right?
She believed that Jeff the Killer was real, and she wanted to prove the skeptics wrong that Slender Man was real.
Okay, and
so
She said she believed. It's very difficult to know whether she's telling the truth or not. She said she believed, right?
after the stabbing, she said that she and Morgan were on their way to Slender Mansion, where
Correct.
they were going to meet up with Slender Man.
Correct.
To be proxies, that she has no idea about what proxies are, what they do, and all the things. Yet she just was able to tell what proxies are, what their function is. And I think part of the reason why I'm so fussy right today.
I just have
a couple of reasons. One, I'm hungry and I don't know what I want for lunch, and that's always a problem. You know, I'm like a toddler. I need to be fed and I need a nap. Okay. But also because the more I listen back to the things that are being said by Anissa, I cannot keep it out of my brain that she's free right now. And yeah, she had a conditional release. She did. But I think that Anissa continues to be, and we'll get to Morgan, just not yet. But I do think that Anissa is a threat. I do think she's dangerous.
Few other questions are not related to the interview you did of Anissa, but I believe you engaged in some other investigation as a part of your role in this offense, correct?
Yes.
And I think one of the things that you did were you talked to Payton's mother, correct?
Yes, I did.
And I believe that you talked to Payton's mother about Morgan.
Yes, I did.
Correct? And did Payton's mother provide you with some information about her concern about Morgan?
She did.
And what did she say about Morgan?
Boy, specifically, I don't recall. The one story I remember her saying is I think that Morgan had been over to their house maybe just a brief couple of times. And one time in particular, she had been in the basement of Payton's house and lit something on fire.
Okay.
And that was concerning to her mother.
Okay. Might it have been the carpet?
I don't remember specifically. I think it had something to do with a candle, I believe. But I don't recall specifically.
Did she say anything about concern about her daughter and the relationship that her daughter had with Morgan?
She did have some concerns. I believe that Morgan had started a rumor a while back about Payton, and I think throughout that whole incident, I don't think she was real happy with their friendship, but Payton wanted to keep it going and forgave Morgan, essentially.
Okay, because her mother was so concerned at one point that she wanted to try to put an end to that relationship.
I believe so, yes.
I don't have any other questions.
All right, thank you. Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Cassoni.
Hold on. Yes, Violet, half melted cheese was the stuff of nightmares. How do you mess up Taco Bell? Don't get me started on that. That's going to get me. I'm still upset about that.
You, in this particular case,
Bro, what is the camera operator doing? Yikes on bikes.
sorry about that. You were the first police officer in the city of, well, strike that. You took a long interview with the defendant in this case, correct?
Yes, I did.
The video says it's 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's roughly 3 hours and 20 minutes.
That's how long the video ran, yes.
I know there's a few minutes apparently at the beginning where Anissa was sitting in a room all by herself. That
Yes.
was while you were doing other things?
Yes, I think I was grabbing her some water.
And at some point, you said there may have been a moment or two where another officer entered the room. At some point, you took some evidence from her fingernail scrapings and such, correct?
Right, Specialist Plata is our evidence unit specialist, and he came in and collected DNA from her in her clothing.
But in terms of specific questions about the incident, you didn't, he didn't ask any questions of Anissa while he was in the room, other than things related to things she needed to do to give him the evidence he needed.
Right. I stepped out of the room, but I've watched the video. He didn't ask her, as far as I can recall, anything particular in reference to the case, just explaining to her the DNA collection.
And at some time later in the interview, she said she's cold and she's brought a couple of blankets, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
In fact, throughout the interview, it seems to me you were doing your best to make sure she was as comfortable given the circumstances as possible. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Smith, just a moment ago, played you clip 7 where Anissa's talking about how Slender Man could hurt her or her family, correct?
Yes.
In terms of the chronology of this interview, though, isn't it true that that was said relating to what Slender Man could do to her, but not what she knew prior to the incident? And what I mean by that, and I'm going to firm up that question because I don't think it's a very good one. She told you she didn't know about this deal Morgan had made with Slender Man until after the incident.
That's correct.
So when you're asking her this question, or the question comes up about whether Slender Man could hurt her, it's just in the context of Slender Man in general, correct?
That's correct.
It's not in terms of the context of, at the time you did this, you did do it because Slender Man could hurt you or your family.
Right.
In fact, it was very clear, was it not, that Anissa did not know about the deal Morgan made until after the incident?
Right. She didn't know about the deal that Morgan had made with Slender Man until they were well into their walk, almost to the interstates, is my understanding of where they were when she had her nervous breakdown.
And she reiterated that on at least a couple of occasions during your interview, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. I'm going to show you a clip that begins at 22:38 and runs for approximately 15 seconds.
Okay, but before he does that, remember, okay, that for the purposes of this trial, the defense must prove Anissa Weier's state of mind at the time she committed the crime, not hours later in the interrogation room, but at the time. And that is why the state is really working to firm up this whole, I was scared because of what Slender Man could do to my family. Because how can you do something out of fear if you didn't know about it?
Whoops. All right, what am I doing wrong with the audio? Thank you. Let's try that now.
The funny thing about this was I didn't know I was in danger until after, Morgan died. They call her down.
So basically that clip went from 22:38 to 2300, correct?
Yes.
Or 23 minutes, I should say, on the
3
dot.
minutes, yes.
Now, I know it's somewhat hard to hear that clip, so...
And also, she seems to be a pretty heads-up 12-year-old, okay? If this was Morgan's plan, right? And ultimately, Morgan wanted to meet Slender Man to be a proxy. And all you have to do to be a proxy is to kill somebody. How come it is that Morgan was never, or Anissa was never afraid that Morgan would turn on her? That Morgan would say at the last minute, you know, I've been friends with Payton longer. I don't want to kill her. I barely know you. You'll work. These are just things that I think of. It doesn't mean anything one way or another, but these are just, welcome to my brain.
Did I ask you to listen to that closely?
You did.
In fact, did you listen to it over and over at my request?
I did.
Probably to the point where you were sick of me? And is it your belief that what she says there is, the silly thing about this was I didn't, and then she says something inaudible, no, I was in danger until after, inaudible, Morgan stabbed Payton, or Bella as we call her.
Yes, that's right.
So in that clip, she's verifying to you that she didn't know anything about this deal or that she was in danger from Slender Man till well after the stabbing had already taken place.
That's correct.
And in fact, that comes up again a second time, and on that occasion, you are now talking once again to her about, as I understand, the walk to Steinhoffels, or the walk that ends up near Steinhoffels, correct?
Okay.
And at that point, does she tell you something about Morgan now telling her about this deal?
Yes.
What did she say, roughly?
She said that she kind of stopped walking. She said that she had a nervous breakdown, and as she's telling me that, she started crying, and she said that Morgan, I believe that she wanted to go back. I don't recall if this is when she said she wanted to go back home, but she says essentially that Morgan tells her, well, you didn't know this, but I made a deal with Slender Man that if Bella wouldn't have been killed, then Slender Man would go ahead and kill our families and possibly us.
So Mel answers my question by saying Payton didn't believe in it at all. That might be why. That's a good possibility, except for the fact that Payton, even though she talked to her mom about it, and her mom had pretty well established that Slender Man most likely wasn't real, I think Payton still had doubts. I think Payton, she definitely wasn't a follower in that regard. So I see what you mean. I don't know. It just seems like maybe it's me. Maybe my thinking is if they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you, So maybe that's why I would be worried about that. I don't know. I feel like if somebody is willing to commit murder, that anybody around them would be in danger, including me. If I were, if we were talking about it and making a plan, it would scare the crap out of me if somebody took that plan seriously.
And she specifically says that in the context of that she didn't know it until that moment.
Correct.
That Morgan says to her, you didn't know this, but.
Right, yes. No, that's correct.
All right. This clip begins at 45:24.
That could go either up on top of the freeway or this way towards the airport. Okay. So we were walking, and then I had a total nervous breakdown and blamed Morgan for everything. I said, you stabbed her, you wanted to do this. Look at what Morgan did. And Morgan's not one to cry very often. Mm-hmm. And then finally she just let go and started crying. And then I just needed to vent because I was scared. Mm-hmm. I was scared. I was scared, A, for myself, and B, for my family, because after we left Payton in the woods close to the marshy area that was nearby, she said, oh, and there was one thing I forgot to tell you. I kind of sort of made a deal with Slender, saying that if we didn't kill Bella, that he either would or could kill our families and everything we love, and I don't want that to happen, so that's why I did this.
All right, so that ends at 46:43. Is that the conversation you were talking about just a moment ago?
Yes.
And she specifically says, I didn't tell you this before.
Right, yes.
Thank you. Now, at some point,
Mel, I only want to fight you if it ends with me being the little spoon and you being the big spoon. It's the only way I'll do it.
did you have a conversation with Anissa about her belief in Slender Man and whether she still believed in Slender Man?
Yes, I did.
And did she, in fact, specifically tell you, in response to a question, does it worry you won't see Slender, or do you think he does not exist? Response.
Oh, we're going to get into it. This is where she turns on Slender Man.
He does not exist. Did that happen?
Yes.
And then you said, okay, and she said he is a work of fiction, and I believe that people who say they have seen him in person have read creepypasta and then recall memories of strange trees instead of Slender. Because I know there was one of the cases on the bus, I looked back at the tree, and it was strange. Is that a correct response?
Correct, yes.
So by that point, probably 3/4 of the way through the interview, she's already disavowing a belief in Slender Man, correct?
Yes, I think she had even said it a couple of times throughout our interview that she now recognizes that he is not real.
And at some point, I know there was a conversation about how Morgan, when she was told to go berserk and stab Payton, said something about being a kitty cat, correct?
Morgan said that, yes.
And you asked Anissa about that, correct?
Yes, well, Anissa had explained to me during the events of just prior to Payton being stabbed that is what Morgan had said to Payton.
In fact, what she said to you when you asked her about that was, she said she was going to draw cat whiskers on her face when she became a proxy, and that would be her catchphrase, like with Jeff the Killer. Is that a fair
Yes,
statement?
yes.
So it wasn't she was saying that she's a nice little kitty cat. It was going to be her creepypasta, Slender Man catchphrase.
Yes.
Oh, good catch, Mr. State Attorney Prosecutor Man. Why would they be thinking of a catchphrase?
And in your conversations with Anissa, did it appear to you that what she was really saying to you when she had that nervous breakdown on the walk was that Morgan was afraid she would leave her on the walk to Nicolay alone and she couldn't do it?
I'm sorry, can you ask me that again?
Sure. Morgan at some point was concerned that Anissa wanted to go back home, correct?
Yes, she was.
And she basically tried to coerce Anissa into not doing so.
Yeah, I believe that Anissa had said at one point in time on the walk that, I'm done, I don't want to walk anymore, I want to go home, I want to see my family, and Morgan had said if we do this now, I believe she made a reference to being arrested and executed, so being held responsible.
And at that point then, Anissa acquiesced and continued walking, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Officer, I'm showing you what's been marked exhibit number 3. Do you recognize that?
Yes, it's my statement that I wrote from Anissa.
And basically what happens here is after some lengthy period of time conversing with Anissa, you take what she said to you and you boil it down to what you think are the important points and put it in what turns out to be a 6-page statement. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's a synopsis.
And at the end of that, you read that statement back to Anissa, correct?
Yes, I did.
And in that statement, there's nothing to the effect of Anissa saying, before we did this, we did it because Morgan said if we didn't, Slender Man would kill us or our families. There's nothing in there like that, is there?
No, there's nothing in her statement saying that.
And yet, you did read that to her, correct?
I read the statement to her when I was done writing it, yes.
And you asked her if she had any changes or corrections she wanted to make to it, correct?
That's correct.
And she had 2 changes or corrections she wanted to make to it. She wanted to clarify something about the proxies and what they were, and added something about Zalgo or something to that, name to that effect, Zalgo, Z-A-L-G-O.
Yes.
And she also wanted you to put down that at Steinhoffel's, they'd gotten some fruit snacks. Is that also correct?
That's correct.
But at no point did she say, oh, and by the way, you really should put in there that the reason I did this is because I thought if I didn't, Slender Man would kill me or my family. She never said that, to add that to the statement, did she?
She did not.
And it's not in there, is it?
It is not.
Everything he just said as a synopsis of that portion of the interrogation video is spot on. That is exactly what she did. She wanted specific corrections, and she was very, very fixated on remembering the fruit snacks that needed to be in there. And for what I don't know what significance those fruit snacks have in the overall scheme of things. It would seem like of all of the details that Anissa talked about in that interview, right, that the fruit snacks would be the least important detail to remember. But it is something that she wanted added to that statement, which means in her mind, those fruit snacks were significant. Why they were significant, I don't know. I don't know. It makes me actually want to go back and see if looking at a creepypasta, if there's a story in there that references a snack item or a food as being important.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Redirect.
When you were talking to Anissa in that room, she told you over and over again that she believed that Jeff the Killer was real.
Yes, she did.
And Jeff the Killer, did you do research on Jeff the Killer?
I did a little research on creepypasta itself and Slender Man just to try to grasp an idea of what she was trying to explain to me.
Did you find a real-life Jeff the Killer?
I found the articles, I guess, that she was talking about. There are images out there, but the ones that I found appear to be drawn. But I did find Jeff the Killer online.
And you saw articles, newspaper clippings of Jeff the Killer?
One article I can recall, yes.
Okay. Jeff the Killer is a fictional character then?
I believe he is, yes.
She said she believed Jeff the Killer was real.
That's correct.
And one of the things that she said to you during that interview is that she had been seeing Slender Man, and she wanted to do this so that she can prove that she wasn't crazy because she was seeing Slender Man.
She did say that at one time.
She said to you that she believed he may not be real because as they were walking to Slender Mansion, he didn't come there to help them.
Right, when Morgan called out for him.
Before that, she believed Slender Man was real.
She wanted to prove the skeptics wrong. I don't know if she really believed that he was real. She believed that Jeff the Killer was real, and so then she got her hopes up that Slender Man would be real. So I don't know if that she really truly believed that Slender Man was real because she continuously told me that she wanted to prove the skeptics wrong.
Okay, but she told you that she saw Slender Man as she was riding the bus.
She did. She said that she thought she saw glimpses of him.
Okay, and she told you that she saw evidence online on the internet that creepypasta characters were real.
She saw both.
Right, and she told you that her close friend Morgan saw Slender Man when she was 5 years old.
Yes, that's what she said, yes.
Okay, and she was exchanging that evidence with Morgan before this stabbing occurred.
Yes, they were were both exchanging information on Slender Man together. Is that what you were asking?
Right.
Okay, yes.
And over the time period that they both were introduced to creepypasta, the two of them were going back and forth, as far as you're aware, exchanging their evidence that creepypasta characters were real.
Yes, they were exchanging the different, sounds like they were talking with each other about creepypasta and Slender Man.
And that written statement, lastly, that you wrote down, that's something that you wrote in your own handwriting?
That's correct.
Okay, that's not something that Anissa wrote down herself?
Right.
Okay. Just lastly, when she was referring to you or talking to you about Morgan and that relationship, she described her relationship with Morgan as close, right?
Yes, I believe she said they felt like they were sisters.
No other questions.
Thank you. Any recross?
Just a couple of things. I want to make sure I have the progression correct. At the beginning of the interview, she's professing a belief in Slender Man.
Yes.
Somewhere near the middle, when he doesn't come when they ask him for help, she's skeptical that he exists.
Right.
And then by the end, she gives that answer that we talked about before, that she doesn't believe he exists.
She knows that he doesn't exist, yes.
Did you find her responses in your conversations with her similar to, say, a 10-year-old who is skeptical about Santa Claus but hopes that he still exists?
Yes, I would say that's fair.
You were asked about whether the statement was in your handwriting, and you said that it was.
Yes.
But you went over it word for word with Anissa, correct?
Correct. And then as I write the statement, I ask her a question again. I write her answer down, make sure that's how she wants it, because these are her words. So that's how I take the statement.
In fact, there's a couple of places where you scratched out a word and you had Anissa initial that change had been made, correct?
Right. Outside of the changes that she wanted added in, I made grammatical errors, made sure that she was aware that I made the grammatical errors. She saw it and then initialed next to it. And then because they're scratched out, so it doesn't look like I went ahead and changed the statement afterwards.
And then when it's all done, on the bottom of each page, you have her sign that it's correct and it's what she wanted to have you say.
Correct. Yep.
Nothing further.
Any redirect?
Just a few other questions. This states exhibit number 3. This wasn't prepared 30 minutes into the interview, right?
So your question is when did I write it?
You didn't write it down 30 minutes into the interview.
No.
You didn't write this down even an hour into the interview.
No, I didn't.
You didn't write it down an hour and a half into the interview?
I don't recall specifically when I began writing it, but once I received all the information and kind of got an idea of what happened, then I began writing the statement.
So that would have been towards the end of the 3-hour interview?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Any further cross?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. And is Detective Trussoni under subpoena?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where we're going to leave it today. Frankly, because the day 2, part 2 is the, hold on, let me tell you exactly who it is. Give me just a sec. It is, I believe, hold on. Let me hear it. Hold on just a sec. Okay, so they're going to go through, tomorrow is going to be the digital forensics. And then it is the, hold on a minute. Okay, and then it's Dr. Melissa Westendorf, and I think that we need to be like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we should do it after 3 hours of testimony and commentary from your girl. So we will do part 2 of day 2 tomorrow. And then, there's still more to this, and we're going to go through all of it, but we have plenty of time because I intended to cover this case while waiting for the Lori Vallow day bail trial to start, which isn't supposed to start until the 7th or the 8th of April. So there you have it. But I would like to thank you all very, very much for being here. If you haven't done so, if you could do me a favor and give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever you think I deserve on the stream, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow for day 2, part 2. All right. Bye.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do. Well, fuck you.
No malicious intent or effort was towards it.
No malicious. Finish her.
Minutes later.
We all do a little mad sometimes.